Hello, everybody. I think we're live. Hopefully you can see me. Hopefully you can hear me. Give me a good old, just let me know if you can see and hear me. I'm still booting things up here. Carlos is not here this morning, so we are together solo. We're just gonna run this together, all right? So I'm gonna need your help as we get through this morning, and we're gonna make this one epic, hopefully. Now I got an echo. One sec. There we go. All right. Okay. Wow. What a day yesterday, though. How many of you were trading yesterday and were here afternoon like expected? What did I tell you yesterday morning? You know, this is where I get to say, I told you so. Volumes were a little lower in the morning to open the markets. We had then the market sort of picked up as the 2 o'clock FOMC rate announcement came out. And as expected, right, the rate announcement came in right where targeted. What did the market do? By God, I called it. You know, give myself a little pat on the back there, baby. It did a little bit of a pop up. It retraced that, and then the big move started once Powell started to give his press conference. And did we move right into the close? We got a big move up, which is good overall for the markets, I would say. Right? I mean, at the end of the day, we really want to see these markets with an opportunity to, you know, sort of recover a little bit from this depression, I guess, that it's been in for the last 3 weeks, and potentially move higher. So the prime interest rate has not changed. The Fed, however, Powell, in his speech, did give some indication that the Fed is absolutely looking at rate reductions in the next cycle. But he's going to wait and see what's happening. So he opened the door a little bit. That being said, if I look at the consensus, the next rate announcement from the Fed is scheduled for the 7th of May. So that's a couple of months. 7th of May. Well, it's only like 6 weeks from now, I guess. Yeah, my God, that because you know what? That's right after I run the marathon. I should know how long that is. Anyways, and the consensus view right now, 82.5% of all analysts think that we're still going to have no rate cut and they're going to hold the level the same. There's about 17.5 that think there's going to be a quarter point cut. No one thinks there's going to be a rate increase or a bigger cut at this point. Nate, sorry to hear, man, that you got smoked. But hey, I told you, man. Told you. Warned you what was going to happen. All right, guys. As we look forward, though, to today, we do have a couple things that have happened already. I don't have the ability to show you our normal economic calendar, so let me just talk to it. We did have let's see, what did we have? Jobless claims that came out this morning. Initial jobless claims came out, and continuing jobless claims pretty much right on target. Right? 224,000 was the forecast. 223 was the real number on initial. The actual on continuing was 1.89 million, which is right on the forecast. So, like, no, exactly as anticipated. That's good. We want the markets seeing what they're expecting. We want everything to calm down. We want the big money, right? The deep pockets to feel comfortable to re-enter this market and start actively participating again, because that's going to give us a chance to let these Qs go higher and let the market go higher. Right now, we're sitting down about 0.5% on both the Qs and the SPY. Let me just link these things together. So we're sitting down this morning a little bit. However, I'm not worried about that. How many times have we seen this market open lower and then move higher? So it could happen. I'm not saying it will, but I'm certainly saying that it could. So you know what? As you can tell, I'm pretty enthusiastic this morning. I had some great trading yesterday, some great trading opportunities. In fact, and pretty much all my trading, by the way, happened in the morning during the low volume period. I had some good pattern setups, some good trading opportunities for me. You know, like I like these markets. They're working well for me. You just have to be very patient, right? Don't rush your moves. Don't try and like force the market to your will. You just got to wait and let the market sort of give you the signals. If you can do that, seriously, there's good opportunity out there. I know, easier said than done, right? Harder to practice that. So anyways, let's practice that today. All right, now what we need to do is we need to look at this gappers list and see what is moving out there in the big bad world. what has gapped up or down this morning that we might want to take a look at. I'm going to stop with the thing. Sorry, stop? No, I'm going to start with the thing at the top of our list, which is PRA, Pro Assurance Corporation. Not familiar at all to me. Not quite a low float. I see 50 million shares in the float. But when I look at this one, it only gets about a 250,000 shares a day normally. So it's already traded the volume it normally trades over the course of a day. It looks like it's on this list because it did have some news. But you know what? I don't like it. Look at the volume pre-market. I mean, it's had this one move really at the close yesterday that had popped it up, which is why it's up 50%. But other than that, I don't really see a reason why we want to pay attention to this one. It is pretty flat. Let's keep moving. One that we are familiar with that we've seen several times on our list is ADTX. Now, ADTX, if you remember, they had news. Let's go to the daily here. They had some news a few days ago that they were getting a little bit of a boost in the partnership with Google, and that seems to have been carrying them for the last few days. As you can see, they've been sort of moving up a little bit. If I look at a 60-minute chart, right, they've been up over the last couple of days, and it looks like they're continuing that little positive movement here pre-market. Most of that having happened about an hour and a half ago, around 7 a.m. So it looks like it's still in play, though. I mean, 2.6 million shares. You can't ignore that. That being said, what did it look like yesterday? Let's go back here. Let me look at a 5-minute. Look at yesterday's. Sorry, I'm zooming in and out here on you. Yesterday's price action, it was really all one big move, right? Oh my goodness, look at the move and the drop. Wow. $2 to $3 move. This is like a $4 move here on the move up. That's a big range for a stock that's only $12 stock. So wow. So, okay, this one's volatile. If you like it, by all means, trade it. I'm looking at it. Yeah, this definitely would, looks like it's a low float. I don't actually know what the float is offhand on this thing, but looks like a low float. So be careful with it if you want to trade it. ADTX, it's a possible, again, if you want a low float, we can come back to it and set some levels. We have some low float traders in the room. Let me just put it on a list here to watch, and we might come back on it. One that we have seen in the past is Harmony Mining, HMY. It's the last one on our gap up list. This is a gold miner, and as we know, gold prices have been soaring over the last little while. Let's take a look at just gold overall. As you can see, if we look at a daily, look at how gold has just been going up, and up some more. If I really zoom out, I know these candles are super tiny, but look at this from October of 2023, where it was $168. This is just a gold index trading fund, by the way, but it's just about the relative growth, right? Up to the 280 it's sitting at now. I mean, my goodness, that is significant, especially for gold, which is supposed to be such a stable commodity, right? We've seen a lot of growth in gold on average over the last little while. Not without its ups and downs, as you can see, but it certainly has been active. So Harmony Gold Miners, it makes sense to me that they're moving just because as the price of their underlying commodity goes up, that makes the company more valuable. What they do, they get more money for doing the exact same mining and refining activities. So I don't see any particular news on this. I don't like the gold miners. They don't typically play well. It is not a low float. We got 600 million shares in the float. If you like it, by all means, trade it. Let's see what it looks like pre-market. Yeah, pretty anemic, pretty light volume. Yeah, not something I'm going to spend any more time on. What else for the gap up? Well, I did notice that we've got some interesting movement here. I noticed that IonQ was just holding green just above yesterday's close line, where the other quantum stocks, QBTS, QUBT, and Rigetti, RGTI, all gapping down this morning. If you remember, yesterday was when at the GTC conference, they were calling it Quantum Day because there was a couple of quantum speakers that were presenting, some of the tech leads from a number of the quantum companies. It feels like that was sort of a non-event. I didn't really see a lot of market movement as a result of that. If you look at the price action yesterday, right, we had this drop off the open and then pretty much nothing. Didn't really move. It was an afternoon presentation. I don't actually know what time, but being that this thing was happening in California, you know that it didn't start till at least noon, and by then, the stock was not moving. So definitely it looked like sort of a sell the news thing. Everybody was anticipating the quantum day, and then by the time the day arrived, they just dropped the stock and then trended sideways. Didn't even get the big push up into the close that a lot of the other stocks did, right? With the market move. So, anyways, we'll see what happens with those today. You can watch whichever ones you like. But I'm probably, QBTS has been my favorite. It's been the one that I think just moves the best. You can see it actually got an afternoon move. So if you're going to focus on one, that would be the one. Pretty much everything else on my screen is red, though. The only one that we normally look at that people tend to enjoy trading is PLTR. It is holding green today. And as we know, looking at a daily here, I mean, it's come well off the highs. Well, 125 when it peaked, hit to a low about 75 about a week and a half ago. Now we're sitting around $87 again. I'd be looking for this thing if it can pop higher, that there might be some good news in it if it moves over 90. It's, from a company perspective, it's a little bit in flux, isn't it? Like, because nobody quite knows, are some of their partnerships going to help them? Are they going to be affected by the Doge work? Are they going to benefit from the Doge work? It's tough to know. So I think this is why we're seeing PLTR sort of move sideways. That being said, its price action is decent. So if you don't mind trading it, sort of in ranges, then there is an opportunity. The other thing I like is PLTR is partnering with Archer Aviation, and I have to, like I've said before, I do like Archer Aviation because they got these crazy like drone things that they're telling us are going to be flying all over our cities. Again, I'm going to watch them from a distance. I want somebody to send me a video of them in it. Trading. If you could trade on a laptop in a drone while commuting between places, oh, I'd be in heaven. Please send that to me, but don't invite me. I don't want to go. So, anyways, all right. Um, we can move on from that. So PLTR, not a bad stock if you potentially want to trade. I'm going to put it on a list. I think it's worth keeping an eye on all the time. All right, lots of stuff here on the gap down list that we can take a look at. A lot of it in some buckets, though. I noticed there's a lot of the Chinese stocks that are on here. They're gapping down this morning. JD, for example, is at the top of the list. Where is it on my list here? I don't seem to have JD here. All right. JD gap down mostly very early this morning, and it's really just holding the line here. Not my favorite one of the Chinese tickers to trade, but it just seems to have got the attention here with the extra volume this morning. I prefer, to trade BABA. Frankly, I mean, it gets more volume. It gets more consistent trade action. So if you're going to trade anything from the Chinese sector, again, I think BABA. People are making fun of how I said that yesterday, by the way. Bubba, Baba, Baba Black Sheep. I'll try and enunciate better. Baba. Anyways, Bubba. Yeah, good old Bubba. I like Bubba. Anyways, good guy. Bubba Gump. Anyways, all right. Ba is my favorite of the Chinese tickers if you want to trade those. I mentioned the quantum stocks already. They're on our list. QBTS is my favorite to trade there just because of the volumes that it typically gets. It's got some decent volume here this morning. And that's probably going to continue today. They're all gapping down. Probably not going to be a huge, like there's nothing special happening on the quantum stocks, I don't think today. So, you focus where you want. I'm probably not going to take a hard look at them just because of that. What else have we got on our list? I see here that we've got TIGR. It's funny how this thing just pops up every once in a while. What is this? This is a holding company for a financial services holding company out of Singapore. I never know why this thing jumps on the list or dumps. It just never. I'm searching the news now to see if I could figure why this is here. I mean, I know, I mean, technically I know why it's here, but what's the news driving it? No idea. You know what? I do not enjoy this. It never trades well. I'm just going to keep moving on because we got a couple of these. There might be something going on in financial and real estate services in the Chinese sector because I noticed Becky, Beke, is also on the list. And this is KE Holdings, which is a real estate services company out of China. And, I don't know why it's dropping either. Maybe it's just moving. They're moving with the overall market. I noticed it got two downgrades this morning from UBS and from Morgan Stanley. They both downgraded their price, put them to a neutral stance. Interestingly, they put them to a neutral stance, but set their price target on them is $24. This thing is only trading at 9. So you're saying it's not a good buy, but you're expecting its price to be 24. You know what? I wish I had my get off my lawn thing right now because I just don't understand some of these analysts sometimes. Like, anyways, whatever. I'm sure it makes sense to them. All right, so a lot of these tickers are in these sectors I already talked about. Baba, Becky, Baidu, Neo, even. If you want to look at the electric vehicles, not a good trader typically, not something I want to pay a lot of attention to. I noticed the price has actually come up off the $4, but it's only sitting at 5. Ugh, probably unless there's some like real big news happening in the electric vehicle sector, I'm probably going to ignore it. Yeah, I don't really see anything happening there this morning, so nothing I want to look at. And that's about it. That's really what covers our list. I see Rivian though. Let me take a look at Rivian. There was some news earlier about Rivian. Let's see if they're still in business, I guess. Uh, yeah, they're still in business. They're it's never good news when I just looking for the new, information on Rivian, and one of the highlights is that they are offering their San Francisco showroom as a co-working space. So, okay, that's that's probably not good news that you're just trying to, recover some rent by letting people co-work out of your dealership. Okay, I know they need money, but that feels a little desperate, doesn't it? I mean, I've got to think that whatever somebody can pay you for working out of your office, it is not going to save the company. It doesn't go very far. But, anyways, they are still on the hunt, by the way, for further investors. They're looking for money to make sure that they stay, solvent and don't have to make some other hard decisions. But at the time being, really no news on Rivian, so probably not a great trader. If you're looking to trade something to the downside and you want electric vehicles, hey, why not check out Tesla? I mean, Tesla continues to move. Yesterday, great little trader. I was actually surprised how it sort of held the line in the morning, actually moved higher, and then of course it got a big bump with the rest of the market with the Powell announcement. It actually retraced more than many others, so a good trade in that. I have to say we were talking about it into the closing hour in the room, and I said I didn't trust this pullback when we saw it top. And we called it out. We saw the top and said, geez, I just don't know. And look at the great move. I could have got a $5-6 move on this thing. James and I in the room both said, yeah, we don't think so. We're not taking the trade. And then we had some ROMO, some regret of missing out on that. Because look, we made the call, we stuck to it, but the trade was there and we missed it. So if you guys got that pullback trade, it was a good one, but we didn't get it. But I expect, Tesla's just in play. It's going to continue to be in play. There is so much news. We've talked about this in the past. There's news about Tesla. There's news about Elon. There's news about the EV sector. There's just news all surrounding Tesla. So it is absolutely in play. And if you look at the daily volume, you can see, trading volumes remain high here. This thing is trading on average about 110 million shares a day, with spikes up to almost 200 million shares. So, it's in play. So, I'm absolutely keeping it on my list because because of that. If you want to watch any other of the Magnificent Seven, look, they're all here. They're all relatively in play. Apple. Let's take a look back on Apple. Had a good move day yesterday. Nice clean moves on Apple. I was actually surprised that my buddy AMD Look at this clean move here in AMD. Really surprised by that. Had a great day. Later. Yeah, Brian's telling me to take the damn trade. You know, you're right, Brian. Look. Do I need the reminder? Right here. Like I made the call and I stuck to it. So I stuck to my strategy, but I made the wrong call. And I need to acknowledge that, right? So this is me publicly with you guys saying it was the wrong call. I was too risk adverse and I should have taken the damn trade. So, you know, you're right. It's right here, staying right in front of me. I just got to read it. I got to believe it. I got to do it more often. Anyways, but AMD had a good move yesterday. And I was actually really surprised by that because if you look at AMD's move compared to Nvidia, I mean, it sort of made roughly the same move, but in a much choppier fashion. So AMD was a good, smooth trading stock yesterday. But you know what? I mean, I was looking through, you know, for a lot of these Meta. Let's look at Meta, Netflix, Apple. You know, they all had very sort of similar moves yesterday. So I found that it was something that you know, you could sort of pick whichever one you want. Watch it carefully. They weren't identical, right? There was a couple of different patterns going on, but I found that they all had decent moves. So and you know what was amazing? Let's look at the volume here. I want to go back and show you this because I still found this amazing. Let's zoom in here on the market from yesterday. Remember, again, this is me patting myself in the back, but I said probably lower volume as they wait for the rate announcement. And look at the massive volumes that came in, right? Fully eclipsed the opening volume here. If you look at the market overall on the SPY, if we look at the Q, it's the exact same picture, right? Big volumes in the afternoon, really small volumes all the way up to 2 o'clock to that rate announcement. So this is why, you know, you've got to be aware of the economic calendar. You need to understand the market trends. It may or may not be affecting your trade. It may be something you say, I'm aware of it, but my trade doesn't seem to care and I'm going to take my trade anyways. That's okay, right? I'm not saying you've got to be slave to it, but being aware of it is a powerful tool and it's a great awareness to have in your trading. What's going on? Right? If I've got some idea as to what might happen, it can prepare you for what's happening. So today in the market, well, like I said, our economic calendar is pretty light. We basically just had the numbers I mentioned about the jobless claims that came out at 10 o'clock. I didn't mention this, so I should. At 10 o'clock, we've got existing home sales and what's called the U.S. leading economic indicators. It's an economic growth indicator. It's expected to see a 0.2% contraction. Those are both coming out at 10 a.m. Now, the market has been overreacting, in my opinion, overreacting, but reacting anyways to some of these 10 a.m. Data dumps. So the fact that we got some economic data coming out at 10 a.m. on the home sales and this economic indicator, be aware of it in case you're in a trade. You may see the market move on a short term or on a continued move, depending on how in line or out of line these numbers come out at that time. So again, just being aware of that can be powerful. You don't have to do anything necessarily, but you need to be aware of it, right? Especially, you know, if you're thinking of taking a trade and you look and it's like 9:55 and you're looking to get into a trade, you may say, like, unless this is an absolute blockbuster setup, maybe I'm going to wait a couple minutes. Let's just wait and see what that 10 a.m. News announcement brings for me. Okay. Anyways, no news after that. We've got nothing scheduled for the rest of the day. So there's what you've got. So I said, look at any of the Magnificent Seven. They're all gapping down this morning with the markets. I think there's some opportunity in there that you guys can take advantage of. Now, all that being said, I only came up with a couple on my list that I'm going to take a look at. Maybe ADTX, which is a low float, high risk. I'm not trading it, but I'll set some levels for you guys. PLTR and then Tesla. So those are the big three. Of course, I'm going to be looking at Nvidia and AMD as well. I watch those every single day, so that's what's on my list. You guys have anything that I haven't covered that you want to take a look at? If there is, feel free to put it in the commentary either on YouTube or on in the chat room. That's the other place where we're broadcasting, and we can go from there. All right. I feel FedEx and Nike. Yeah, so we do have some earnings, by the way. Some earnings coming up after the close today. Earnings plays can be tough to look at, you know, during over the course of the day. I see we got some earnings here this morning. that they're coming up. Pinduoduo, for example, that's one that had earnings this morning. Looks like they, oops, I got to do it down here. Looks like they missed on revenue, but beat on bottom line earnings, so that's good for them. Darden Restaurants, which is one we only look at occasionally, DRI. Not a great trader, by the way. Fairly low daily volume here. They only get about 1 million shares a day. Looks like they missed top and bottom line. So restaurant business not been good in the last quarter. Yeah, that's really about it for this morning. If we look at, if I go and look at the calendar, going to tradingterminal.com here, looking at the calendar, let's bring it up for you guys here. You can, whoa. Let's put it up here. You can see that after the close today, we've got a few, right? We've got, oh, looks like, is Micron? Do they have earnings after the close today? I thought they already had earnings. Maybe they do. Look at that. They do. Look at that. Yeah, right at 4 o'clock, they're expected to announce their earnings. So that could be good. Nike and FedEx. So yeah, might be worth keeping on. Now, I would suggest they can be more difficult to trade over the course of the day. I don't know that I would be looking for big moves today. You know, if you want to watch them after the close, that's fine. But yeah, it's probably going to be hard to trade throughout the course of the day. So yeah, keep an eye on those. What else we got that you guys want to look at? Oliver already mentioned on YouTube. Thank you, by the way, for being there, Oliver. FedEx and Nike. We just briefly mentioned those. PLTR, someone mentioned, which, yeah, absolutely on my list here. And you're right, just went red. We'll see where it goes. Okay, guys. Well, if that's all you've got, then that's what we're going to look at. Let's take a look at what we've got on the webinar front here for today. We have a number of webinars. I'm just going to bearabletraders.com. If you scroll down here, it'll tell you what we've got every day. And today is mentorship day. And on our mentorship day, we've got a couple of mentorship sessions for you that will help you with your trading activities. We're going to start with Lenny, who talks about trend trading. He's going to give you a mentorship session on that. That's at 11 o'clock for all of our elite members in the webinar room. That will be, again, it's a great session. Hopefully you'll attend. Bring your questions. He'd be happy to answer them. If you've got questions on options, though, maybe hold those for an hour. Stick around in the webinar room, and then you can ask Jared those questions, because he's going to talk about options at noon. So those are back-to-back at 11 with Lenny, at noon with Jared, both in the webinar room, both for our elite members. You can join and take advantage of those. Tonight, we have our very popular mentorship session with Thor. That's happening at 8 p.m. in the evening. That's 4 hours after the market close. Thor will be giving that. Always a good time and a good opportunity to get your questions answered. Everybody loves the Thor Meister, bringing the thunder and the lightning all the time at that session. So hopefully you'll join him. And if you want to join us in the chat room, well, we've got a number of options for you. Let me put it on one screen. Come on, make it smaller. Smaller. There we go. We've got our annual sale going on right now, our spring sale. If you want to get 50% off the Elite Annual, you can do that right now. Use the code SPRING50. That gives you the Elite Annual for only $11.99, which is a great deal for what you get out of it. You get to join the chat room. You get access to all of our mentorship activities, all of our webinars, all of the fun that you get with the chat room and the conversations and the bad jokes and the puns. And nobody commented yesterday, by the way. I was wearing my shirt that a member gave me that said, I keep all my dad jokes in my database. Maybe it wasn't visible on the camera easily, but I was waiting for a comment. I didn't want to say anything, because if you have to point out the joke, it's not a good joke, but I guess nobody noticed. Oh, well. Or was that 2 days ago? Anyways, whenever it was, nobody. But I want to thank our member who sent that to me. It shipped it to my house, and it was awesome. It was great getting that. It was fantastic. So, in any event, all right, guys. Hopefully you'll join us there, or you can check out tradingterminal.com. It's a place to go for all of your information needs. It's made by traders for traders. It's just got a new look and feel. It's got everything in here. The calendar we were talking about, right? You click right on here. You can get this calendar of earnings coming up here. You can see the economic events. You can see everything's in here. It's a great tool So, you can take advantage of that, and it's completely free. All of the things in here. The one thing that we've got that may have a fee to it is some of the Academy courses. There's a lot of free stuff in here as well, but it's also got the Academy, which has got some very in-depth courses that are well worth the money if you want to check them out. They're fantastic. The other thing that you might want to check out is the Live Trading Summit. We've been doing these things for years in different forms. This is the fourth annual, the big trading summit that we do. It's 3 full days of learning, education, community, and it is a blast. We love doing it. Our entire team is converging on Vancouver in just a couple of weeks here, right at the end of the month. It goes from the 29th to the 31st of March. That's a Saturday through a Monday. It's a great, great session. It's a great way to spend a sort of a long weekend. I promise you will come out with some relationships that you can take into your trading, some new friends, some new learnings, something and stuff that you can apply. So it's a great, great session. We've got it front-ended with a TEDx webinar, which is going to be great to set the tone and help us understand how we can achieve peak performance. And then we've got 2 full days of technical and educational material that's going to focus right in on trading and all the topics you want to talk about. So it's going to be a fantastic session. So hopefully you will join us. And I can't believe it, man. Look at this, 8 days. 8 days, 22 hours away. So it is coming up fast. So if you haven't bought a ticket, buy one. There's always a last minute rush for those last few tickets. So hopefully you will go and take advantage of that. All right, guys, we're just after 9 o'clock here, and let's take a look at setting some levels. Again, reminder, just me here today, so you don't get the break from my voice with Carlos. In fact, I need to take a drink. It's just water, by the way, in case you're wondering. You might want that. That would be impressive though if I was to stock this full of whiskey every day. But that's too much even for me. This thing's about like 2 liters in here, 1.8 liters or something. My God, I would I wouldn't make it through this show. I was talking to someone the other day. I know I've been talking about this a lot about this marathon because it's weighing on my mind that Mike and I from the chat room have agreed to do. So we're converging in France. We're going to meet up in France with our families who are cheering us on from the sidelines. Or knowing our wives, they're probably just going to find a bar somewhere and sit down and have a drink, and they'll make it to the finish line, and maybe not. But Mike and I have been talking about what we're going to drink after the marathon more than the marathon itself. So you can tell where our focus is in this endeavor, right? We just want to get it done and then get to the fun part. So, in any event, I went for a run this morning, about 9 miles and 13K. And it was, again, it's funny to think now when you're doing marathon training, a 9 mile run, that's a small run, right? That's a short one when you're trying to gear up for a marathon. So anyways, it hurts my head to think about it because I have never run that distance in my life ever. I've actually walked that distance, never run that distance. So yeah, we'll see how it goes. Anyways, okay, let's get to setting some levels, and we'll get ourselves ready for this day. I'm going to start with PLTR because it's on the screen. I like to set my levels off the daily chart because it gives me an idea of where things are and where they're going. PLTR has really been sort of in an extent, I'll call it an extended, oh my goodness, excuse me, an extended range here over the last little while. Like I said before, 90, the whole dollar number, I'm really looking for it to break through here, but I'm going to set a level around 90.75 because I can always watch the whole dollar. But what I think is if it gets over this 90, 75, 91 rough range, then we're really going to get a run on this thing, I think, higher. There's a massive gap, right, from back here in February that if we get through, obviously there's opportunity up. And notice the top of this gap is roughly at the $100 mark. Not a surprise there, right? You'd want to keep an eye on that. But I mean, we got a long way to go. Very unlikely it's going to get anywhere close to that. So on the downside, of course, there's an area of consolidation right around the $80 mark. So that's something to watch. I think that's worth keeping an eye on. But, that's a big range. We're sitting at 85 right now. So let's zoom in on the 60-minute chart and then see if there's any other relevant levels of support or resistance. And I think there are, right? Because notice how right at 85, it seems to have got some support here a couple of days ago and then down at 84. So once again, the whole dollar is proving to be fairly influential with PLTR. So I think we're just going to watch those whole dollars and see what this thing does over the course of the day today. PLTR is one of the stocks that I said moves fairly well. On my list, I had this ADTX that we can watch. On the daily. I mean, look at this thing. Clearly, I think this one had like a 1 for 250 reverse split, which you can tell because look at this ridiculous stock price where this thing spiked up to a high of, I have to count here, $11.4 million. No, yeah, $11.4 million at that high spike per share. Okay. Somehow this daily chart doesn't make a lot of sense. So certainly we don't have that type of upside. Realistically, with this thing sitting at 11.50, $15 is a level that we could watch on this. I'm gonna have to look at the 60-minute chart to see what's happened. Well, we don't really get a lot, right? Top side, it doesn't tell me much other than the two areas it spiked to today is roughly the same area that it spiked to as a high yesterday. So midday. So I think that's worth watching around $12. That's already marked on my chart. To the downside, well, there's definitely an area here, 955, that we've got to keep an eye on. I think on ADTX, if you're going to trade that. I'm not trading it. I want to be clear again. But if you are, those are your levels, I think, to look at. So 950 to the downside, 12, 20 or so to the upside, and then, of course, 15 if it really gets, takes a runner. Tesla. Let's look at Tesla again in this tightened range. It's sort of the range looks like it's getting smaller to me. You can tell I got a lot of levels in here. So let's actually clear. I'm going to clear all the lines on Tesla. By the way, these dotted lines, whenever you see a dotted line on my chart, a small dotted line would be a low from a previous day or 2 days ago. A big dashed line would be the high of the previous day or 2 days ago. So you can tell they're all like crunched in here, right? In pretty tight, which obviously means that Tesla's been trading in a range. I mean, it's got to break out of these whole dollars. $250 to the top side, $220 to the downside. Clearly, those are ranges to keep an eye on. So we will do just that. Zoom in on the 60-minute chart. Let's see what it tells us in between those levels. Well, the current price is 232, and I can tell, we had some area of support here around 225. Not a surprise. Yesterday, I remember the price sort of looking like it had a lot of support around there. Yes, it was lower several times, but there was support through the afternoon on that. And then to the top side here, yeah, I'd probably be watching. I don't see a great level here. Maybe somewhere around here, 237.40. I like how it sort of supported this back on Monday and then again yesterday. So we'll see what happens there. Oh, that level, by the way, to the low side was 2 days ago on the 18th, on Tuesday. Can't believe it's Thursday already. My God, how does this week go? All right, so that's Tesla. The other one that I said I always keep an eye on is, of course, NVIDIA and AMD, my good buddies there. Well, I've got so many levels on them that, I really don't have to set much. You can see all these levels that I've got off a previous daily. Notice how I was pointing this out, right? These levels like this 106.30 to the downside is a good one. And to the upside, I've got 123.30, 128. If you trace back the daily, you can see where it had support and resistance at those levels. And they happen to coincide with more recent price action in the last 2 months. I promise you, I've set these levels more than 2 months ago. So there's a reason why they're here, and I leave them here is because as long as they continue to have relevance, then I know there's people with shares either there or looking to take action there. So I don't need to do much more with NVIDIA. It's all set and locked and loaded. Zooming in here, we're at 117 as a price right now. I can see yesterday this 114.75. Actually, I want to put a level there because I can see how it had some support there. So we'll see today, right? If we spike up and down to that level, that might be relevant. Well, to the top side, we've got this spike high overnight, or yesterday's high. You can see at 120.44, which is certainly something of relevance because you can see it also hit that same level back on Tuesday and on Monday. One thing I haven't mentioned yet so far this morning is our good old tinfoil line. Now, this one I typically mark in a different color just to keep an eye on. You can see, I don't know if you can see this yellow marker, but this tinfoil line, the tinfoil, by the way, it's sort of a joke. I think Thor originally coined the phrase, or we blamed him for it. Somebody had a great graphic where they put a little tinfoil hat on Thor. But really, because it's a conspiracy theory, right? We notice at 8 a.m., notice you get this big spike in volume, and look, you often get this thing with giant wick, tiny little body. So the price spikes up and down to levels, which sometimes sets a trading range for the day that the stock will pay attention to. Not always, but sometimes. It's worth paying attention to that you can that you can use as a trading guide. And I just watch it. And if it pays attention to it, then great. If it doesn't, then I say, okay, it's not relevant and we ignore. But it's interesting to me how Nvidia's at 8 a.m. set this big topside range and a smaller downside range, which tells me if it comes to the low and then starts to move aggressively, it might be a potential long. That's what I'm going to keep an eye on Nvidia. Again, do I know for sure? Absolutely not. I don't know, but I'm going to keep an eye on it just in case. Tesla, right? Same candle. Notice at 8 o'clock, you get this big volume, tiny body, big wicks, right? So it's worth watching these ranges here on these candles here just to see if they have relevance. I'm going to put my yellow lines on these like I often do just to keep an eye on them, right? On this $5 range that we got in Tesla. And you can go through all the stocks. You'll notice you got the same thing at 8 o'clock, right? Same candle almost all the time, especially on the large institutionally traded stocks is where you find this line. Like if I go to ADTX, well, actually, I'm surprised. ADTX has one. I was going to say it probably doesn't. PLTR, well, it does too. So notice how consistent it is. You have this across a lot of stocks, even ones I didn't expect it to be there, but you know, it's there on so many stocks, this 8 o'clock candle. So, you know, again, it's worth being aware of whether you do anything with it or not. You know, again, some days it has relevance, some days it does not. But there you go. There's our tin foil theory now shared with you. So let's see what we're going to get into the open. Again, this is the day where there's no major catalyst, right? We got nothing big that's moving. The market's overall still, you know, trending down by about 0.5%. Going a little deeper here, moving a little bit lower from where we were at the 8 a.m. time frame. So, you know, but again, we could definitely move in either direction as the market hits the open. Somebody's asking about crypto. You're right. That's not something I did not look at. Let's take a look at what's the Bitcoin price doing this morning. I like to go to the website Coin Market Cap when you guys ask me, by the way. This is where I go in the morning, in case you're wondering. It's good to see crypto prices. So here you go. Bitcoin sitting at 85,307. Here's your top 5 trending coins today. And of course, the broccoli coin trending this morning. Of course it is. I love just looking to see what's trending because they got ridiculous coins on here. Anyways, broccoli. If you want to trade broccoli, there you go. You can do that. And then the usual suspects, some of them on here. But yeah, so see Bitcoin again in this range here, I find this range to be, again, I call it its comfort zone because as long as Bitcoin is trading between about, 80 and 95, I think it's not going to do much. We're not going to see a lot of activity on the crypto stocks. So whether you like to trade Mara, or you like to trade coin, right? I mean, they've always got a little bit of action, but they're not a great, day trading stock in my opinion. But you know what? People can find great day trading in all sorts of things. Like Boeing's one of the ones that always is a mystery to me. The other day, people were trading Boeing and loved it, and Boeing and I don't get along. I am not a fan. So if you like Boeing, you can have my shares. You go trade them because I am not touching it. It's just one of those stocks that just doesn't. That and Walmart. Walmart's another one that people love trading Walmart. I don't get along with Walmart. I don't get along with Walmart in the real world. Like IRL, as my kids would say. Anyways, or trading. It's not a thing that I like. Anyways. All right. So here we go. Yeah, I think I'm going to be, for me on my list, I'm going to be watching PLTR and Tesla. I don't have the ability to fill out that list at the bottom of the screen, so sorry about that this morning. But I'm going to be watching NVIDIA and AMD. And that's probably about it. I'll keep an eye on the scanners, see what's moving, right? See if I get some trade opportunity. Unlikely I'll be trading right off the open. I don't have anything moving with a catalyst that I love that I'm going to be jumping on. So it feels like it's going to be a quiet day. I'll ask our moderators, get your list in right now, and I can let everybody know what you are looking at. That'll be helpful. And then, we're going to switch into getting ready for the open mode, which means our live traders are going to come into the chat room. I will continue with everybody on YouTube. And let's see what we get. It could be a quiet open, at least for me. As I said, I don't actively trade the open. Yes, I will keep in mind what you guys have reminded me. Take the damn trade. That being said, you also have to keep this in mind. So I'm an under trader, right? Most people are over traders. But you got to keep that in mind with your strategy, right? You don't take trades just for trade's sake. You don't have to actively be mashing buttons to be a trader. You need to be paying attention to the market and focusing on your strategic setups. And if they're not setting up, then you don't do anything. You wait for your opportunity. You wait for the shot. Okay? Justin, I don't know how to make you an under trader other than to say patience, man. Patience. So, but what will help, I'll say in general, journal your trades. It is not the most fun part of trading. I get it. You're going to learn more from journaling than you think. And a journal, especially when it's painful. When you get your worst trading days, when you least want to be reliving the pain that you just went through, that's when I want you to journal. I promise you will get the most value from those sessions. And the key thing when you journal, pretend you're journaling someone else's trading activity. Be critical. You don't have to be mean with yourself, but be critical. What did I do well? Give credit where it's due, right? Pretend like you're grading a paper or something, right? Or reviewing an employee, right? Credit where you did well, you know, suggestions for improvement where you feel that there's things that you did wrong. That journaling is very, very valuable. Again, it's not the funnest part, but you get a ton of value out of that. Okay, guys. That being said, I'm waiting for our live traders to get here. When they do, I will hand the room over to them. Although, being said, we're going to have to figure out how to mute this because this is all running. See, the funny thing is, this is set up and running off of Carlos's computer, and Carlos is actually out at a deployment, so I can't shut it off. So I think what we'll have to do is, Brian, maybe when you're on the screen, if you're ready to go, I can go and mute the line. Hey, I see Brian. Howdy, buddy. But I can't hear you. So if you're ready to go, I'm going to hand the room over to you, and there you go. He's got the thumbs up. Either that, doesn't in some cultures doesn't that mean like you're telling someone to go like F off? I always I was told to be careful giving that signal because it means something different in other cultures compared to North America. Does anybody know for sure? I've never quite been clear on that, but anyways, I'd hate to do that by accident. Think I'm saying, "Hey, good work, buddy," and they're like, "Geez, what an ass." Anyways. The peace sign. Okay, well, there you go. No, not the thumbs. Anyways, all right, whatever. You know what? All right, guys, I'm going to mute in the room. I'll leave you in Brian's tender but capable hands, and you can go from there. So, all right. Zach, Zach, congratulations. All right. On my first solo. All right. Oh, that's a solo flight thing. Oh, you're giving me the solo. All right. Thank you for that. I appreciate that. All right, guys. Take care. I'm going to mute in the room here and so just continue with you guys on YouTube. Take care. All right. Let's keep going, guys. We got lots to do before the open, lots to take a look at. So I'm going to keep staring at these charts. I'm going to see where there's opportunity. Tesla's been treating me well at the open recently, and I'm not again an over trader at the open. I typically don't take a lot. I don't have a great setup. There's no catalyst on Tesla. I am I'm amazed at the I don't know, the energy, the passion that Tesla has attracted out of American audiences, I'll say in general, out there in the world at dealerships and online campaigns and support and derision. Do you love the Cybertruck? Do you hate it? Like it's amazing. All right, there's my 5 minute mark. Oh, you know what I didn't do? I didn't tell you guys what our moderators are watching. I should have done that. I forgot. Let me give you guys here. I can tell you what our moderators are looking at, so that you've got an idea what they're watching. All right, because again, my list is pretty short. So Avi, as expected, is watching the Magnificent Seven and AMD. Megan is just watching AMD today, which I find interesting. Thor is watching Apple, AMD, and Tesla. Phil is watching Tesla, Nvidia, Baba, and AMD. This is great. So many people watching AMD, and they don't usually. So that tells you there's a little more interest in it. Lenny is watching Nvidia, Tesla, and Intel. Brian is watching Tesla, Nvidia, PLTR, AMD, and the SPY. Paris is watching PDD 5. Wow, that's not one we looked at. Let's take a look at 5. What the heck is that doing? Not sure why this is on his list. Doesn't have a lot of volume this morning. In my experience, this has not been a great trader, but I see the gap up today, so I guess maybe he likes that gap move. Maybe I'll put it here. We'll flip back to it. We'll see if he's right and it does anything. He's also Paris is also watching Nvidia, Tesla, and PLTR. Nathan's watching the Magnificent Seven and AMD, and Eamon's got nothing. He's going to be watching the scanners and see what pops up for him. So there you go. That's what the Bearable Trader moderators are watching. There was earnings. Okay, Yama, thank you. That makes sense. Let's check it out here. Let me plug it in here to the old news machine. See what we get here on their earnings. Looks like they beat their numbers on their Q4 earnings. Um, their guidance looks like it's pretty much in line. They said that they're looking to achieve 4.2 to 4.3 revenue for 2025 with a couple of more store openings. That is yeah, it's about the midpoint of what the analysts were expecting. Their adjusted earnings are going to be somewhere between $4.10 and 4.70. Once again, uh, yeah, right in the midpoint. So guidance is in line. So yeah, five below. I mean, it's actually good news that they're gapping up with that news because normally, like, you got to do something special to get the market to pay attention. But I guess they're in a slightly different category, right? Like, this isn't five below, not a tech stock, right? It's retail, so fits in a slightly different category. Not quite the demands aren't quite as harsh on it as it is on others. So. Okay, so there you go. Well, maybe that's why he's got five below. Again, still don't think it's going to move. So for me, probably no trade opportunity on that. I like Tesla. I notice it's moving right back to VWAP now. Could be interesting here. Like I was pointing out, if you look at Tesla on the 60-minute chart, right? We've got this range here. It's got if it breaks up over 235, we could see a run up, another $5 run up to the high of this pre-market or the early hour trading. It could go as high as 242. We'll see. If it really starts to sell off, though, we got lots of room to the downside. We got about $10, $11, right? As it gets down, it could get down as low as this 222, but we'll see. I mean, 2 days ago on Tuesday, we were expecting to get down to 221. I'd actually taken a short trade on that. Didn't achieve that, but we got close. So I was in that short. That was a good trade for me. Okay. What else are you guys anything else that's jumped up? I don't see anything else. Andrew's saying hi in the chat. Give us the old thumbs up, the like. We appreciate that. Thank you for being here, by the way, and sticking with us. Carlos will I think he'll be back a little bit later this morning, so he'll rejoin me. But he is trading. So there's my 1 minute alarm. We got 1 minute to the open. Yeah, Baba is another one that might move. It's tough to tell at this point. Um, I've got, you know what? I'm gonna have to open some more charts here because let me I don't have my full screen of charts like I normally do. So I'm gonna put Baba over on this screen. I'm gonna open another one. We're gonna watch we'll watch PLTR. They tend to move well on the open. PLTR is really gapping down from this VWAP and from yesterday's close. It's gone red since 9 a.m. So we'll see what happens here. We've got about 12 seconds to the open. I think you're going to hear my bell, the opening bell I don't know if I have the opening bell in this setup, this configuration. There it is. So I guess so. All right. See what we get here at this open. See if we get any trades. I'm watching Tesla. It's one I'm keeping an eye on. A little bit of a very early sell-off. Again, don't rush anything. I want you guys to take good trades. If you're out there, but you find your trade set up, of course, don't be afraid to take it. But don't feel you have to rush into anything. This is one of those days where, you don't necessarily get the biggest move of the day at the open. In fact, we're probably better off waiting a little bit, at least in my opinion, until we get more confirmed setups and directional moves that you can rely on. But that's me because that's how I trade. You're welcome, Titan. Are you my adopted son now? I like it. Oh, it's all good. Of course, you could be my daughter. I don't know if Titan's a guy or a girl, but ooh, look at Tesla now popping up. I don't want to assume. You're gender neutral. Anybody have the book map? I don't use book map, so can't tell you. If I look at Nvidia though, Nvidia level 2 here, there's not really a lot going on, right? I don't see a lot of orders sitting at the level 2. I mean, there's a few sitting on the downside here at 116 area, which is interesting, but not that interesting, right? Because they're not huge orders. They're, 50, 60,000 shares. So, yeah. Nvidia's getting looks like it wants to go green. Tesla also heading higher. It's got a little farther to go to get green, but remember that area that I talked about. If it does decide to run, 235 is that area. Green means it's got to get to 235.86. So it's a little more range to run here if it's going to try and get there. Nvidia did go green. Good move higher on Nvidia. Good strong move. Looks like Andrew is trading. He's trading Tesla. He's trying to get a move higher on Tesla. A little bit of a risky trade. Tesla's pulling back on him. He's really not going to be happy unless this thing pops up. Looks like he's in pretty heavy too. All right, watching Nvidia here. Nvidia hit 218. Anybody trading Nvidia? Not my trade. Baba, somebody's looking at Baba. Yeah, it also got a little bit of a pop up. Not a huge move, but it's up a buck from bottom to top roughly. Brian, we're not live trading on YouTube anymore, so he joins a little bit later, but he's not here for the open. He's focused on our chat room. There's some reasons for that, but fortunately, that caused us to change that format. Unfortunately, but you can still see him live in the chat room. I'm watching Tesla. Tesla's getting this move. It's trying to go green here. It's within a couple of cents. Hit that and pulled back now. It did. Apparently, it spiked to green for a second. I didn't actually see it ever be green, but apparently it traded a couple of shares over because it's the high of the day is 235.90, which is 4 cents over yesterday's close. So let's see if it can solidly get up there over 236. It's going to make Andrew a little happy as it did finally bounce up. He got at least one partial up at the top there. Go on, Tesla. Do it for the vine. Anybody remember that? That's like a really old reference. Do it for the vine. My kids used to say that when they were really young. Keep in mind, my kids are in their early 30s, late 20s, early 30s. It's like one of the first social media video sharing platforms. It went defunct a long time ago. Maybe it's still out there. Just lost popularity. I don't know. Anyways, if you're old enough to no Vine, then welcome to the club. All right. Tesla pulled back hard off of that previous day close. Didn't go regain it. Now we're testing the VWAP. See if we can hold here at VWAP. So what did get a more consistent move and a hold is Nvidia. Nvidia actually went up and held this level here. Look at that. Has not pulled back yet. So good strong move on Nvidia. Looks like that was the trade du jour. It's always tough to tell, eh? You never know which one is going to be the one. Looks like Nvidia is the one for the morning. As it continues to show some strength, some orders now building at 119 on Nvidia. You can see that. And when I say building, look, this is notice how these black dots on my level 2. It's hard because they're flashing by really fast here. I forget. There's a way to pause the level 2. I forget what that command is. Let me see if I can call it up here. Hold on. Oh, darn it. The heck? It disappeared on me. All right. Hotkey configuration. Here it is. Control F1. So let's do this. Control F1. Oh, it stops it. Oh, but it blanks it? Well, that's not helpful. All right, never mind. But anyways, yeah, I've got these black squares in it. You may notice that's because I've got it configured where I think it's anything over 2,000 shares. I have it highlight so that I can just see the bigger orders. Remember, these are in hundreds. So when you see 144, for example, that would be 14,400 shares. So you got to add two zeros onto the end. So, and you add these two sizes together. So basically, I know it might be hard to see. It might be easier on my screen, but we have roughly 40,000 shares sitting at 119. Not a lot between the active price and that's the closest in. We've got some shares sitting at 118, but a smaller amount. So it looks like, if anything, this is likely to push to the top side. But again, 40,000 shares on Nvidia, not that huge that it's really going to worry about going to get it. When you see really big orders, you want hundreds of thousands of shares sitting there. That's really a sign, an indication from the deep pockets that and the money makers that they are looking to try and push this thing to and through a level. So right now, I'm not seeing that. And like again, not saying that it can't go, because they could not be showing their size, right? You do not have to put all of your orders. You don't have to broadcast that, but sometimes they do purposely to try and set an indication as where they're going. So right now it is looking good. Nvidia is looking strong, and it looks like 119 is absolutely in reach. So if you're trading that, you've got an opportunity there. I did not chase this. I did not trade it. Not my setup, but it's going well. Let's just go back to Tesla here. I got to see what Tesla's doing. Yeah, Tesla sort of dropped back below the VWAP. It set a range here. Notice it had a range pre-market, right? It looked like it was going to break the top side of that range, but it didn't. Remember our tinfoil line, right? Roughly came to the tinfoil line. Just because it spiked through, it pretty much held that area and bounced back. Now we're sort of in that same range where it was trading pre-market. So that might tell you something. You want to watch the low end of that range here down at 232. And if it breaks lower, next stop is probably 230. So we'll see what Tesla does, but it just looks choppy at the moment. Whereas Nvidia, still looking strong. So good move here on Nvidia. Baba, geez, I don't like that. That looks awful. Baba, sorry. Just very choppy, right? Look at these overlapping candles. Not a pretty look for me. Javier, you're saying that you traded a QBTS? Good volume on QBTS. 12.4 million shares traded already today. Yeah, if you got that for that pop, that 1 minute pop, I mean, that's the biggest move here. Single largest candle. It's funny. I keep it in context. It's 30-cent candle, but if you got your sizing right and you were in, you could have had a great trade on this. Netflix? You're watching Netflix. What's Netflix doing? Oh yeah, good move up in Netflix I find hard. It doesn't get any pre-market volume. And that makes it tougher to trade. Look, I'm gonna flip to the daily here on Netflix. I'd set this box range because it had this gap in here, something that I was watching back in February. And notice how it sort of come back into that same box. Like if I was to extend this box here, I could extend it out here, and you see how it continues to like trade well within that box. In fact, it's almost like a contracted box. So, I mean, in fact, if you go backwards, you can even see, this box. Anyways, you can draw levels and boxes anywhere you want, but I uh, I was just showing where the gaps were more than anything. But I found it interesting that when I drew this box around the gap, that it was just trading for the last couple of weeks within that same range. But anyways, Netflix got a good pop this morning, decent move higher if you were trading that. Nvidia finally looks like it's taking a rest from its drive higher, pulled off the high a little bit. I've got my post-run protein shake here. I made it really quickly and I didn't get the ratios right. It was a little grainy. Now I think I put too much water, so it's a little watery. Oh well, deal with it, right? All right, so clearly no open trades for me. That's not unusual, right? As I said, I had nothing setting up at the open that was driving a strategic opportunity for me. So that means that I'm just going to sit and watch. Most of my trades happen between about 10:20 and 2 o'clock. Really, that's my prime time for trading. That's when I find, sort of the biggest moves, the greatest reversal opportunities. I'm primarily a reversal trader. I'm not a trend trader, which I know is against what a lot of people do, but that's just my strategy. Micron, yeah, it looks like it moved up. Very similar chart here on Micron to what I'm seeing on Nvidia. So it looks like it might just be moving with the market, right? At least the semiconductor market. AMD looks very similar. Let's go back and look at the SPY. Also looks fairly similar, right? The SPY and the Qs. The Qs are more directly related to these tech stocks and the semiconductors. All look very similar right now. So I would argue not moving with a lot of independence. Like, Tesla sort of has independence, but it's ugly. It's in an ugly range here. It's in chop. Again, not looking fantastic. Definitely the semis are looking much, much better this morning. So I like that because that might give me a reversal opportunity a little bit later. Joseph, again, it depends on what you see. It depends on how you're able to face the market. I would say you're correct. In general, reversal trading is more challenging than trend trading. But for whatever reason, I just I don't favor trend trading, and I find it difficult. Whereas reversal trading gives me a lot of comfort. I like taking reversals. I've got a very sort of detailed setup and strategy approach. So it really gives me the ability to sort of, have confidence, I guess, in my trade. That being said, you know, like we were saying yesterday, like it actually is on Nvidia. Let's go back here. Let me show you this yesterday chart. Uh, where was it? So we'll go back, bring in some more data here. Yesterday we were talking about this. I directly called out. This is a double top action here, right? This is my mountain pass par excellence. Volume into the high of day, a spike high, a retest. The short was right around here at 120. And you got a $2 move. It was a great trade because you could have taken this at 120 with maybe a 50 cent stop, 40 to 50 cents, depending where you got in. And for a $2 move, that's a good 4 to 1 at least. So maybe 5 to 1 trade on that. So, the opportunity was there. I wasn't sitting on it. And if you look at Tesla over that same time period, it looked very identical, very similar. So there was definitely a trade opportunity there. I just didn't trust it. So anyways, but you know, that's again, I'm a reversal trader. I've got very specific criteria. I just have to, be careful not to talk myself out of them too often. All right, let's take a look at Nvidia because it's definitely one of the best moving stocks so far this morning. Again, if you're trading the semi sector, I'm surprised MU is moving as well as it is. How about Intel? What's it up to? See, moving about the same, a little slower paced, but still moving. I like Nvidia better. We'll see what it wants to do and where it's going to go. Some tough trading out there for some of our traders in the chat room. I see Andrew's having looks like a little bit of a rough day. He'll probably be on here a little bit later to let you know about that. But again, I'm sitting on no trades, which is fine. Normal day for me. The Mountain Pass, Rabowski, yeah, good question. Normally, again, it's about the first structured reversal in the market. I'm using air quotes around that. I find usually is around 10:30, which means 10:15 is the earliest I would actually start looking for an actual Mountain Pass. And I can tell by then if they're setting up for it. You need significant movement away from the VWAP. You need to have had a strong move. Like right now, Nvidia's had a good move, but it's not that far from the VWAP. It actually needed to move higher and stronger for it to set up for a mountain pass reversal. Something like Tesla clearly is not going to get to a mountain pass anytime soon. It's just chopping around VWAP. So I've got nothing. I've got no opportunity on that whatsoever. Uh, Something like Apple that has moved away, I want to see this move continue, right? I need more separation from the VWAP. It's got to get higher and farther for me to be able to take a trade on it. So usually what I do is I just scan through things and I look for it. But yeah, 10:15 is the earliest I look for Mountain Pass setup. And then I said anywhere from there till 2 o'clock are great setups. So I can just keep an eye on things and see where they're going and when they give me that opportunity. It's tiring because you got to sort of keep scanning the market, paying attention. One of the big challenges I have is after about noon. So 10, 20, 10, 15 to noon. I'm usually good at maintaining focus. It's afternoon then that I have to not start getting distracted, right? Looking on my phone, worried about meetings that I've got, getting distracted with videos and doom scrolling and all that other stuff. So, yeah, it's, the usual problems, I suppose. But I actually have one of the things my wife got me 2 years ago. Where is it? Right here is my egg timer. It's a literal egg timer, right? Because yes, you can set an alarm on your phone. I found it's too easy to ignore. So I actually wind this thing up. It's one of those just wind her up and set the time, and it's very approximate. And I want that because I want a variable amount of time. And I literally put it across the room. I found two benefits because it actually ticks, and the ticking bothers me. So I either put it across the room or in the next room. And then when it starts to ring, I have to get up and go do something about it, but it reminds me to, regain focus. So I usually set it up for 30, 40, 40, 50 minutes, something like that, right? Somewhere roughly in that time frame. And I put it aside. And then when it rings, I'm like, am I not, if I'm doing something, anything other than facing the stocks, I know I've lost focus. Bring yourself back, right? Come on back. So useful tool. Sometimes you use these little hacks, whatever you need to use to hack your own psychology. Yeah, 10 o'clock. We do have the home sales that I mentioned. That is coming up. Thank you for the reminder on that, Chris. Rep- uh, Appreciate it. Sorry, I was trying to say I appreciate it and Lupinski at the same time. my my mouth couldn't get around that. And I almost defaulted to calling you Lebowski, but that's something else altogether. but not a bad thing. All right, as a reminder, two data points coming out here at 10 o'clock. Existing home sales, right? Expected to be 3.95 million. That's the forecast number. And what's called the U.S. leading index. This U.S. leading index, really, it's a composite of economic indexes that give you an idea of whether the U.S. economy is growing or shrinking. The expectation, the forecast right now for the forthcoming period is that there's going to be a 0.2% contraction. So that's the February month-over-month number. We'll see how it comes out. It's coming out in about 9 minutes here. So once again, if you're in a trade, just be aware of it. You don't necessarily have to do anything, but just be aware of it. It might support your trade, and you might, get a good partial opportunity. Or it might go against your trade, and you got to be ready to take action, whether that stops you out or you're riding the course, right? Don't panic. Sometimes these moves are short-lived and it could recover that amount. So if it doesn't stop you out and or if it gives you a pop in your favor, right? If you're trading in the right direction, you might want to take a partial because again, it often retraces that, but we'll see. And it might not react at all. But again, if you have yourself ready. But again, if you're thinking about a trade about 5 minutes from now, think about it strongly before you actually take it. The dude, exactly, Kevin. All right. Uh, Tesla, look at this chop on Tesla. Just ugly, ugly, ugly. Nvidia still holding this level. Um, yeah, I don't have the pivot levels on this chart, but I see that my point of control, which is this orange line, by the way, this is the point of control. Basically, what that means, it's the minute where the single, it's the price point at which the largest number of shares have traded. Notice that's significantly below the current price. It's sitting down here at about 117.25, let's call it. And that means that it's actually weak up here. Nvidia's weak because while it's been holding here for longer, we've traded a lot less volume. There's a lot of volume that was traded down here at 117.25. So be aware of that. Doesn't mean it's moving there, but again, it's just something to be aware of. Value, exactly. Sort of the value zone, value range. So as I zoom out, interestingly, see how that number's not changing? It's largely because the volume is so significant right at the open that it's just overwhelming all the rest of the volume. But as soon as I get into yesterday's data, right? As soon as I start bringing in yesterday's information, you notice that that's interesting though. Look what happens when you bring in the 8 a.m. data though. This value area pops up. Interesting. Anyways, it's relative, by the way, to the scale of your chart because it really just evaluates where the most shares have traded based on what's being displayed on your chart. So it's a very like you notice how that orange line is popping all over the place. That's what happens as you scale in and out. So just be aware of that. I find it an interesting number, but not always that useful, to be honest. So, okay. Anyways, Nvidia still hanging out here. Tesla still very choppy. Tesla's like just mucho ugly today. Look at that. Whoops, sorry. Yeah, just very ugly. Very, very choppy. Show you more what the Qs are doing overall on this other chart here. I haven't been using that, leverage that properly today. Okay. Microsoft had a fairly small move. Apple's had a fairly small move. Apple might go green. The 215.24 is yesterday's close. So if you can get up another 15 cents, it can go green from this point. News on Meta? Let's find out. Pull up my two different news engines here. Uh, I don't see any news on Meta today. What's Meta as a stock doing? I think it's just moving with the market, frankly. I mean, it's a good move. Nice move up, 15 buck move. I mean, it is a $600 stock, so keep that in mind. We're only talking about 2.5% maybe from bottom to top, 2% green. But yeah, I don't see any news on it. All right. 4 minutes away from just over 4 minutes away from the 10 a.m. news, which means that this is really sort of the warning track, as I would consider it, uh, of uh, of the trading, into that news. So again, if you're in a trade, no problem, right? You can sort of stay the course, but be ready. If you're not in a trade, I would be recommending not taking a trade at this point. Again, you do you. If you find a great opportunity, don't let me talk you out of it. Because again, nothing could happen, right? We could get this 10 a.m. news announcement and nothing happen whatsoever. But you just want to be ready for it. So if you do get into a trade, you're going to want it to move hard and fast right after you get in, so that you've got a good chance to have a little bit of separation between your break even and the current price, hopefully to the green, um, before that 10 a.m. Just in case that news has a big effect. Would Meta be in play for a Mountain Pass? Potentially, yeah. I mean, it's a good enough move. It's got a little bit of a distance from the VWAP. Not great because the volume's been fairly consistent. So see how it's been pulling that average price up with it, which means that it would have to be a pretty tight Mountain Pass at this point. Because I always consider the VWAP the ultimate place where I can get a move to, which means we're only looking at about $5 to $6 to get to that VWAP, which means that if I'm going to be taking $1 risk, I couldn't take more than a $2 risk because I only get a 3-to-1 return. The thing that seems to be missing on this, actually, it's missing on my chart. Ah, oh my goodness. All right, I gotta add a study on here. Uh, a moving average. I need a. My goodness, I can't believe I don't have a. I haven't like added a moving average in a long time. My goodness. Not do it. Not do it. Huh. I don't know where my moving average is. That's sort of weird. All right. Well, um, anyways, on Meta, where's my 50? So right now, if I'm looking at it on my other charts, anyways, what I like to see is the 50 moving average, anyways, above the VWAP, and currently it is not above the VWAP. So that is a problem here. I just changed the chart, so now that I got everything going on. What I like to do though is the volume by price. Hmm. Anyways, now you got all these moving lines, right? You got this volume by price stuff. You can see there's a lot more lines on my chart now. But anyways, the 50 moving average, which is this red line that you've got down here. In fact, I should probably make that. Why? It's below the VWAP. So, anyways, long-winded answer to your question. My apologies. But bottom line, it's not a great Mountain Pass candidate at this point because I don't like it. It doesn't have great separation from the VWAP, although it's getting more. And I want to see this 50. This 50 is like well below the VWAP, which is not great. I find it doesn't yield the best trades. So, okay. So where are we going here this morning? Clarice, it doesn't make a big difference in the shorter time frames, but what I do is I usually use on the 9 and 20, I do an EMA, an exponential moving average, because it just weights the current time frames more heavily. Any 50 and above, so 50, 100, 200, I usually use an SMA, a simple moving average. The reality is the calculated difference is not that great. I always keep in mind it's just an area. It sets a range. So, if you put both on your chart, you'll notice they're not going to be significantly different. I mean, they do get different when you get into the shorter time frames, I guess, not so much in the longer time frames. So, or is it the other way around? It's been a while. I can't remember. But anyways, that's how I've done it. But there's no magic to that. Pick what you want. Okay, guys, that number did come out, and existing home sales came out higher than expected, 4.2 million on the existing home sales, and the leading index was slightly weaker than expected by 0.1%. So it's at negative 0.3 versus an expected negative 0.2. I was busy yapping away over that. You can see that we did get a bigger candle right at 10 o'clock, right? So we did get a little bit of a move, but notice how it retraced that move in the next minute. So not really that significant of an impact. So that's good. Although the market does seem to be continuing higher. It boosted on the Qs and the SPY and moved higher on that news and is continuing to push. So I guess that's good. Well, bullish sentiment in the market is not a bad thing. That gives us good trading opportunity. Seems to be pushing some offerings more than others. Microsoft got a better push out of that. I have Microsoft on here. Here we go. Microsoft, as you can see, got that push up and is continuing. In fact, it pushed it into the green. Apple's continuing green. Tesla actually got a little bit of push. And that 10 a.m. number actually pushed it out of this range that I've been holding in. So actually, in fact, it front run that, didn't it? Look, it moved up at 9:59. That's when the big volume came in. Interesting. Interesting. So that maybe is not economic driven. People are just using that as an excuse to push the price. So Tesla at least is green at the moment. All right, I'm gonna flip back here to NVIDIA. I like NVIDIA's price action. I want to see where it's going. Market's pushing higher though. Microsoft green, Apple. Well, maybe keep an eye on Tesla here. See where it's gonna go. Woo. Uh, I go to Sal. If you go to a website, again, I've got no stake in this, but investing.com/economic calendar. But you should be able to find it if you just go to investing.com. They provide free real-time data. Pretty good. It pops right up. So I'm hoping we can get that into trading terminals sometime soon, but it's an expensive data feed, but investing.com provides it. So yeah, good. So I guess, shout out to them. Thank you, investing.com. Appreciate it. Okay. Oh, you know what I didn't check on? What about five? Let's see. Yeah, see five below. Look at that. Ugly, ugly, ugly. That was one that Paris was watching. It had earnings. And yeah, not fun. Not a good trader. Notice how the price action, look how slow the level two is moving, right? Relative to like a Tesla. Watch how fast Tesla's just scrolling and moving. Go back to five, right? So yeah, didn't end up moving. Nothing going on there. How about ADTX? Also, looks like the volume slowed down on it. I don't see this level two. Looks like it's moving a lot slower. Very choppy in the price action so far this morning. So ADTX happy that I just ignored that and avoided it. Wasn't a great trading opportunity. My buddy PLTR. PLTR did get a pop, but that's right at the 10 o'clock. Interesting. It reacted, a little bit of an outsized reaction at 10 a.m. So, but still, I would still say this is very choppy. So you got to be careful with it. One that is moving consistently ever since the 10 a.m. announcement is Microsoft. It's got a little life here. Not a lot more volume, but certainly directional. So that's good for me, right? Because that means that there's potentially a mountain pass building on it in the next, hour or two. So, Microsoft's one that I can keep an eye on. I want to see it continuing to push higher. Same thing with Apple, right? So as a reversal trader, I'm watching for these trends because I don't know how far they're going to go. I don't know where they're going to exhaust themselves, but I'm hoping I get a signal at that point. It might potentially give me an opportunity. Now, in both of these cases, for my trading strategy, I want them to move farther than the previous day close. I do not like trading reversals when you're just above, like short reversals, when you're just above the previous day close. I'd like more separation. I also don't like it when they're just below if you're going to go long. So, because the previous day close can be a powerful number, right? And I don't want the price to stop or bounce there, get some support. What I do like is notice how this 50 moving average, see how it's on the right side of the VWAP, right? That's a more comfortable trade configuration for me. Why? I can't tell you. I actually don't know. I mean, technically, I know why it's there. It's just calculated numbers. But, why does that make it for a better trade? That I don't know. I just know that from having watched this for thousands of hours over thousands of trading days, probably tens of thousands of hours now, that gives me better trading success. So, all right. Just keeping an eye on different things here. The Avenacci levels. I love how we've talked about the Avenacci levels. So you're trading Amazon long. All right, good for you. Let's see. Oh yeah, well yeah, look, a good consistent move here. Look where the point of control is, way down here at the open. Yeah, Amazon's a good solid move. So nice. Nicolas Caron. Nicolas? Nicolas Caron? Are you French? Anyways, Nicholas, the 1 to 10. So the 1 to 10, that's an afternoon trade only. Okay, it specifically happens at 3:50 p.m. Quebec. Ah, well, bienvenue, monsieur. On vous remercie d'être ici. Okay, that's my high school French there. Anyways, my wife speaks French, and so do the kids, but I don't get a chance to speak it very often. In any event, so the 1 to 10, 3:50 p.m. is when that trade kicks off. Specifically, you're looking for a spike in both volume and price action. You want it to be going against a short-term trend. Really, it's sort of a reversal trade. It's a very short-term momentum-based trade. Again, that only happens again at that specific time, 3:50 p.m. I'm going to see. We used to have a video in YouTube that you could check out. Let me go and see if I can find it here. That would give you an indication. If you're a Bearable Traders member, I know that there is a We definitely have a short available in our members section. What I don't have is, let's see, I don't know that we have a YouTube available one that explains it, but again, it's one of these trades. If you're trading live with me at that time, I often take it. Uh, it happens 2 out of 5 days a week. So you've got to watch every single day, but you only get maybe 2 trades a week if you're lucky. Sometimes it just never happens. Like it feels like it goes weeks and weeks without happening, and then suddenly it'll snap back in, and then it happens every single day for the next week or so. But I said it averages probably 40% of the time. So, the secret to this trade is understanding when to stay out of trouble. You only take it when it sets up, and then when you take it when it does set up, right? Then you jump in and there's an opportunity. But bottom line. Like if I was getting a short-term trend, let's say on Amazon, let's pretend it's 350 right here at this 1010. This would be great because it was moving up in the short term, right? The short-term trend is higher. You get this pullback. I'd wait for this volume to exhaust. I would have gone long at the bottom of this candle looking for a continued move in the direction of this Amazon trade. Again, if it was 350 at this point in time. Usually what I do is just the minute before I scan through my standard stocks. I usually only trade this on 5 specific stocks, which are Tesla, Nvidia, Microsoft, AMD, and Apple. Those are the main 5, but you can trade it on a lot of other stocks. You need a good mix of institutional and retail volume. That's why I like those 5, but it does work on others like the rest of the Magnificent Seven and some other trades. But yeah, it's fairly simple, right? It's not that complex. The strategy is straightforward. The key is seeing that price action, understanding when is it exhausted. If you look at, I think, was it Microsoft we were watching yesterday, where Microsoft was playing with us, and it's done this for a few days. Let's just look at this at 350 since you're asking about it. Yeah, it was, maybe it wasn't Microsoft. Um, was it something else? Tesla? I don't remember what it was now. I thought there was one yesterday where it just played with us. Um, None of these look great. So yeah, I can't give you a good setup example, but because none of these really set up, but maybe it was 2 days ago when it happened. I don't remember at this point. In any event, that's the rough setup. It's easier to explain live. A reversal, Rob? Okay, so certainly. So Microsoft's trending well right now. Like I like this move again. More separation from the previous day close would be good for me. My reversal strategy is just something I've called the mountain pass. It's just a way to visualize it. Basically, it's a high of day break and then a retest of that level. So see how, like, at this high of day up here on Microsoft, when we set this high of day, which is currently at 389.55 and a half cents, but 389.55, you got this increase in volume, right? And now the volume, look how much the volume is dropping off. What I'd be looking for is that I like it when you get this increase in volume. In fact, higher volume would have been even better at this high of day, but I'm looking for this volume increase at the high of day. I want to see what the retest looks like. So I want to pull back and then to retest that high of day level and fail. So right now we're about to retest. I'd want to see, is it going to stay on lowered volume and is it going to fail? Now it's a little early in the day. We are just at the front end of what I said was my earliest reversal time. But, this is a decent setup, probably a B plus, maybe configuration setup, but, not great. But what I'd look for is I want to see it come back and retest this 389.55. I notice there's no big orders on the level 2. It's coming up to this level. If it fails here, I would put a stop over the high of day and take a short where I'd be looking at for it to pull back to the VWAP ideally. Now, in this case, I know that I've got the previous day close in the way. So really, I'd be looking for a trade that would go and hit the previous day close. That would be the range of my trade because I would expect it to get support there. Now, in this case, notice while I was talking, it actually broke to a new high of day. So when it retested and went higher, broke my strategic setup, right? As soon as it sets a new high of day, my strategy is done. So no reversal trade for me. This shows me potentially Microsoft could just keep going higher. But that's how I look at it. I look for that retest, right? And even now, even if it's pulling back, not entering it. Absolutely not. This could just continue going. I don't know. It broke my configuration setup for a high of day. So, but that's what I look for, right? High of day on relatively large volume, retest, pull back and then retest to the high of day, failure. I enter on the failure. And it works long and short, right? If you've got a day where things are moving short or lower in the early trading, you can take things long. It works just as well. Does NVIDIA look like a mountain pass? All right, so good questions. Now you're getting into my type of trading strategy. Absolutely not. So I can tell you immediately. How can I tell you? Well, look, the price action is right around the VWAP and it's in this consolidated zone, right? I'd want this to be at a high of day or at a low of day for it to be a mountain pass. So this is one of the ways I can scan a lot of charts very easy, right? If it's not at a high or low of day or not even close to it, immediately I can tell you it's probably not, well, not probably, it is definitely not a reversal strategy trade for me. I just won't trade it. Apple, right, is one that is, right? Very easily I can tell this is at a high of day and look, pushing higher. This is great, right? Potentially Apple could set up for a reversal trade, but I'm not going to trade it now. It's look how strong it is to the top side, right? Like you're not going to go short on this thing at this point, but I want to see what it's going to do, right? Look, this is a bigger candle than it's had pretty much all day, other than these couple of candles at the open. So, pushing higher, had a little bit of increased volume, but it looks like it's still going. Let's wait and see. What does the failure point look like, right? Then I wait for that failure point, a pullback, a retest. But see how long? Like it gives me lots of time to evaluate and determine, is this the type of trade that I want to take? So, anyways, that's what I like. You guys are pointing out Amazon now as well, Abu. So, Amazon, yeah, Amazon, sort of similar, right? At least it's at high of day. Not as strong as Apple, I would argue, but still, right? Because it had this consolidation in here and it set this high of day with no noticeable change in volume. So that tells me it's going to be tough for Amazon probably to set a good high of day that I want to take. Like it's really going to have to get a volume spike, and I can tell like where's my average volume, right? It's right through this level. You're going to get an easy spike. I would want a volume like what we had at 939 here, right? That type of volume would show me we're hitting a really good high of day potential. Some people call it an exhaustion point, basically where I want sort of the people that were pushing it higher to say like we're done, right? We're sort of pushing all our shares out and we're done. But yeah, it's a potential. Amazon, I find it's harder to read the volume because it tends to get into the stable volume area where it doesn't give as many volume signals. But but yeah, these are good candidates to watch, right? They're ones I can keep an eye on. I normally have, by the way, Amazon, Apple, Microsoft. I always have those on my charts so that, I can scan. I've got a 6 monitor setup, by the way, so I've got lots of screen real estate where I can put charts and I can keep an eye on things. It's a little different today because of the way I've got it set up to share with you guys here on YouTube, um, especially without Carlos here to sort of run the screens. But so yeah, I'm not using as many charts as I normally would, but normally I can just keep an eye on all of these very simply, and it allows me to scan. Like I said, it's easy for me to tell, think about Apple. Let me bring over in this chart NVIDIA. Like just look at the difference in how these look, right? Look at NVIDIA. Let's do this. Let's make this bigger because I don't need the pre-market gappers. Look at how different this looks, right? Between an Apple, like really easy to see. Apple's a potentially good candidate, NVIDIA not. Let's bring Tesla over here, right? Tesla, it's at a high of day, but not a great candidate. Look how choppy it was getting to that high of day, right? Much more difficult, bigger wicks, right? Not as friendly. So You know, I would say, okay, Tesla looks like a tougher trade than an Apple, as opposed to bringing over something like Microsoft. Hopefully, you can start to see the difference, right? Like how nice and smooth a good move it is on Microsoft. So both Microsoft and Apple, great candidates for my reversal strategy. Is Carlos here?
Hello,
He is
hello.
like, there he is. Oh, hey, Carlos, welcome back.
Hey, thank you, Peter. How you doing today?
Fantastic. All good. No
Awesome, man.
trades for me, just watching, but sharing with everybody. They're
Okay,
asking some
okay.
great questions about the strategy and different strategies and how they work. So thank you everybody for that and allowing me to share with you sort of my strategies and my views on the market. Hopefully it's been helpful.
Awesome, man. I was hearing part of it on the way to my appointment today, so yeah, enjoyed it for sure. Um, all right, I am just logging in, seeing some stuff here for the first time. Peter, if you want to take a quick break, that's good. I think Andrew should be coming on here any minute
Yeah, I was
as
worried
well.
that if he
So
came on, I wouldn't be able to hear him. So hopefully now with you back, you can you can manage
yeah,
all of
yeah,
that.
I can switch him over. Yep, no worries, man.
Yeah, good.
Um, All right, excellent. Let's get some screens up here. I know how tough it is doing this show by yourself for this long, Peter. So thank you so much, because it is exhausting. So 1 second.
Yeah,
Okay,
it's tough on the
just getting all set up here.
tough on the
Uh,
voice. I mean, I like to hear myself
it
talk,
is.
but you know, when you're going for 2 hours straight,
It really is, man. I'm not gonna say it's not. I've done it a couple of times myself, and yeah, it's it's tough.
no
All
problem. I'm
right.
not going anywhere in the short term. I'm still here. Hopefully, we'll get some other traders joining you. You know, we
Yep.
still got some trading to do. And I said my prime time's just about to kick off, so we'll see what we get. Hopefully, we get some opportunity this morning.
Yep, absolutely. Yeah, man, big thumbs up to Peter guys over in chat on YouTube. I mean, it's not easy doing this. So yeah, big thumbs up for holding it down. All right, how are Andrew and Brian? How are they doing today? How's their trading, Peter?
Yeah, it looked like Andrew was having a little bit of a tough morning. I didn't see any of Brian's trades, so I don't know. I know Andrew was trying to get Tesla long. It was not cooperating. He did jump in on Nvidia. I think got a little bit on that. So no idea where he's sitting overall. He could be green, he could be red. I have no idea. But yeah, it's
Gotcha. Yeah.
wasn't a great morning. We had some stuff that moved, but it wasn't necessarily what you would expect. Like Tesla, not a great morning so far. Nvidia did have a pretty good morning. So at least at the open, now it's pretty choppy.
Oh yeah, look at
On the
that,
other hand,
Nvidia. Yeah.
if you look at Apple or Microsoft, they had, pretty nothing mornings, but then once the 10 a.m. economic news came out, they've both really taken off. So they got some good trending action going on both those and the market overall. So.
Yeah, nice, nice. All right, we got some stuff going. Baba looks horrible. I heard you talking about that one. Just pulling it up right now. That doesn't look good. How about my quantum stuff? Rigetti here. Messy. I saw some comments on the chat. QBTS was doing good this morning. I
Yeah, it
guess
had some
was.
moves.
Yeah, has some volume here, but has lost it at the moment. At least has lost some of his gains right now.
Yeah.
Um, trying to see if I can get your camera. Because now that I have you in a different setup, now I need to get your camera back the other way, and I'm having troubles doing that. We'll have to figure that out. Um, but yeah, all right. I'm gonna try to look for a trade. Right, I'm just sitting on my workstation now for the first time today. As far as looking for trades, man, Apple's breakout is awesome on the 5 minute. This thing is just gone. What a beautiful, beautiful trade. So hopefully you guys took advantage of that one. There it is, Apple. This is a I don't know if I would have taken it, but what a beautiful 5 minute ORB breakout there. These indecision candles are very tough though, but man, that breakout is beautiful. And you got a nice continuation this morning. CVNA, let's take a look what's happening with CVNA. CVNA Carvana. Oh man, I am so late to this party. Everything is gone. Oh man, look at how beautiful that is. So I guess people buying motor used cars. Um, which is funny. Peter talked about this weeks, probably a month or two ago, where if the economy starts going, slowing down, and new cars are continue to be so expensive with the interest rate. Which, by the way, if you go buy a new car now, it is crazy what the interest rate is. Even with good credit, my guy's like, nope, this is what you're gonna get. Even with good credit, I'm like, my credit's not great. You know, my wife's credit is awesome. Mine is okay. But he's like, yeah, even if you had great, awesome, excellent credit, this is what it is. I'm like, ouch. It's just, it's brutal.
Right.
So there's Carvana taking off, doing pretty nice. What's ACVA? Is that a ACVA? What is that? Oh,
Is
man,
that a thing?
is that a thing? Oh, you mean Cava? You mean Cava, the restaurant one? But if you meant this one, yeah, this is.
Yeah, that doesn't look pretty at all.
No, we're gonna give you a nice little garbage truck for that one. Yeah, no good.
Here you go. Ah, where there it
Yeah,
is. Good old
there it
garbage
is.
truck.
Now, unless you meant like look at the daily and you doing some other type of trading, okay, maybe swing trading, okay. Any other strategies? No, we're not talking about those. But for day trading, it's just no volume on this thing. It's traded very little in the pre-market and just looks pretty bad. All right, let's see what else we have here, friends. Snap. Let's take a look at our good buddy Snap here, and let's see what we're doing there. Snap this morning. Man, it's just everything going northeast. What's the SPY? As I'm going through these, I'm catching up with you as well. SPY is pushing higher. Tesla, yeah, SPY is doing very well this morning. So we had the FOMC meeting, and I had it on yesterday, and just kind of hearing Powell and speak and everything. And the word transitory is back. I was very happy to hear that word.
Transitory.
It makes me smile, Peter. Transitory. I was like, okay. Let's see what's going on here. But yeah, everything seems to be pushing a little bit higher here. But Tesla's up slightly, but not really, not really moving well, given this 1 minute especially. Look at this 1 minute, it's like kind of all over the place. So that's not good. Not looking great there at all. Northeast, love that. Absolutely. Northeast is where you want your stocks to go. That's where I live. That's where you want your stocks to go. Northeast towards Peter in my direction. if you're long, at least. All right. Let's see here. I hold Tesla looking bullish. Yeah, Tesla is looking bullish. How long it's going to last, we'll see. It's not pretty, though. But yes, it is looking strong. Yes, it's trying to maintain above the pre-market highs. And for the time being, I mean, overall, this thing has been in the probably biggest bearish run of its life, I believe. So who knows? It's been pretty down here. But if over the last couple of days, we've been trying to find some support. You saw that recall we had now for the first 15 months of sales of Cybertrucks. It's a recall because I think we mentioned this on this show. Some of the side panels were falling off. So it's a recall now for any Cybertruck that was sold in the first 15 months to go and get that panel adjusted or secured. So can't believe it was a lot of sales in the first 15 months. Can't believe it was a lot of them anyway. So.
Well, I mean, yeah, unfortunately, those are the people that had lined up, right, I guess, and that had put their early deposits down. So,
yeah.
Yeah.
But I would think the first 15 months, they probably wouldn't rolling these out, too fast, right? Like, what's the official date of the first one that got sold, right? And then you start from there. Like, what does that 15-month mean? Official release date? Like, it's so much, right? I don't think it would be that many. But it's Tesla, so it's got to make a big headline. I'm sure Toyota has had bigger, larger, more dangerous recalls, but we don't care about them. The media only cares about Elon and Tesla.
I mean, I have a personal philosophy of I never like to buy a truck or a vehicle on its first edition, anyways. So, because like even for my wife and I, for instance, years and years ago, were considering buying a Toyota Venza. Which is when the first time they ever produced like a mid-size sort of SUV. They probably didn't call it that at the time, but and I just thought, it was the very first year in production. Even from Toyota, I wouldn't buy a car in first year production because you get recalls, right? Because then they learn what works and what doesn't, and they can do all the testing they want in the lab, but you get in the real world, and we can.
It's funny. It happens with jets too. Like jets have the serial number. My brother was the owner that had bought the jet. It was a very early serial number for one of their G7 models, and they do the same thing. You know, they have a lot of issues, and actually, Gulfstream, they track this stuff, and they'll tell you, hey, we need to look at your jet because if it's happening here, it can happen on the other ones. So that
Right.
he's got like number 7 out of that series. So they're constantly calling him up and say, hey, this is want to run some tests on your aircraft's computer, because whatever they find there, you know, they can make sure the other ones are fixed. So
Wow.
every time he brought it in for service, they were like a very it's an event because whatever they
Right.
find there, they want to make sure it's not an issue with the other ones.
Wow.
Same thing with cars, man. Same thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that's why I said, like, if I won't even buy a Toyota in the first year, I mean, I'm personally certainly not buying a Cybertruck. So again, I'm not too hard on Tesla on the recall. Like, stuff's going to happen. It's the very first year of this entire design and a very different approach to, car manufacturing. So sure,
Yeah.
I mean, it's going to have some problems. So anyways, but you know what? In the current market
Yeah.
climate, look, you're going to get the viral videos. You're going to get sometimes things being, maybe blown out of proportion a little bit. I don't know. We'll see. But
Yeah. I think Brian and Andrew are ready to come on. Andrew just texted
okay.
me he's gonna be ready to hop on here. So I'm just waiting for them to hop on, and we'll head over to them. But Peter, I'm funny you mentioned Venza. I actually bought that car, and I was like,
Did
what
you?
would I was thinking? I did. I had it. It was right before I was going to have my first kid, and I'm like, crap, I need something comfortable like a minivan. And I went from a BMW to that, so it was like, what is this?
You know,
Um, and it was comfortable. It was comfortable, but it was weird looking. I gotta say.
is it? Well, I mean, now it's standard, right? Like it looks like all the RAV4s and CRVs and like the.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was sort of unique at the time. I just know for me, it was 2009 when I was looking, and I was actually living in Australia, and my wife had just moved back with the kids, and I'm like, I want something reliable. So I was looking at Toyota. I ended up getting her a Subaru, and I'm just like, I just don't want to have to worry about it. A brand new Subaru, right? Should have no problems in the winter. I know that she can get where she needs to go. Just I just wanted no problems because like if she runs into a problem and she's not a car person, she just,
Yeah.
like she would just it would freak her out. So I'm like, and I'm in Australia, like I can't help if you
Yeah.
get
Yeah.
into a problem. I'm way far away. So
Absolutely. Yep. That Vance had that off really quick, man. Didn't last long. And mine didn't last long. I bought it brand new, and I wrecked the thing, man, pretty bad. So
ugh,
didn't last me long either. Yeah. So I had a big accident with a deer, man. And when the
oh,
cop came over, he's like, "You sure you hit a deer?" He didn't believe me because it was late at night. I was going 80 on 80, and it's like he didn't believe me. He's like, "You didn't hit a deer." He had to go back and check, and he found out, "Oh shoot, you did hit a deer."
really?
Yeah, because the first thing he thought was like, "Oh, this guy's drunk driving. He probably hit the fence or another car or
Oh,
something."
okay.
So he went. He didn't believe me. He's like, "You sure?" I'm gonna go back and check. I'm gonna go back and check. He came back. He's like, "Dude, you hit a 200-pound deer. Like, you should be dead. Like, this is
Right.
crazy." But the hood opened up and blocked the deer from coming into the windshield.
Oh wow.
That would have been a whole different story. Yeah. Oh man, but yeah, fun experiences that you go through in life. But yeah, all right, Andrew should be on here any minute. We'll see what he's done. I see he took some stuff in NVIDIA there for right now. I see in on it. He's not in on it. Him and Brian are just talking shop right now. But yeah, once he comes on to VMix, we'll get him switched over. Let me make sure I understood this correctly because he told me he was coming on, but I don't see him joining. I want to make sure that I didn't misunderstand him. Are you coming to VMix? All right. What else, friends? What do you guys like this morning? Tesla's moving around a little bit here. Man, the big movers definitely got some nice pops today. Apple just took off. I mean, it took off very well this morning. We got some good ones on here that did very well out of the gates. INTC, no good. SMCI, Chop Fest for the most part. So I don't see nothing happening there. Just looking around to see what I can take a trade on. It's probably gonna be a while before I take a trade on. I have to just kind of just kind of sit tight and see for some good opportunities. I don't want to push anything.
I've been keeping a close eye on Apple since you guys were asking about my reversal strategy. So I was looking at Apple for a reversal.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe if you, Carl, since you're sharing the charts there, 1 minute chart on Apple would be helpful. And because notice it came up, it hit the high of day. It had a little bit volume, but not great volume. But look at these like sort of these doji candles, like really tiny candles right at the high of day. And I was
Mm-hmm.
watching and saying, and then it pulled back here at about what is that first pullback candle at 10:21, and then went up and retested. And it was about that point that I'm thinking, you know what, this is sort of like a B minus type setup for me for a reversal because it doesn't really have the volume I want. The pullback wasn't that significant. So it was one that I'm like, I don't quite know if I want to take it at a reversal or not. And the market was still looking strong at that point. Now in the last couple of minutes, it's reversed here. So I just made the decision not to enter this trade, but it could have potentially been a reversal trade on this. I would have got short probably around here at 1026, 1027, stop over the high of day. So it would have given me about a 20-cent stop, which means that, I need to get down to this 50 moving average, this red line I've talked to you guys about earlier today, to really get sort of a good return on my investment risk. Again, not in it at the moment, but that was a potential trade. But again, made the choice. I was looking. I want a better setup than that. But that's
I
how I
love
look
that.
at reversals, just to give you like a real life example of sort of what I look at and what I
Yeah, Andrew.
evaluate.
Yep, absolutely. Just give me a second, guys. Let me connect the chat room. Andrew's logging in here. I hear him. Hello, Andrew. How you doing?
I am doing well, sir. How are you doing?
Okay, somebody has to mute something somewhere because we got a little echo. Doing good, Andrew. Doing good.
How
Hopefully, you
was
guys
your
did
trading
well.
at the open?
No, no trading for me. So I was in an appointment. I just got on to the desk. So Peter ran the show this morning, and no trades for him
Oh, Peter
either.
is the
Yeah,
man.
Peter, he did really good. He did good. He did awesome.
Thank you, Peter.
Guys, hit a thumbs
Uh,
up for Peter over on YouTube. I mean, I was listening
Yeah.
in while I was on my drive. Really good stuff. Really great information. He's awesome, man. We love Peter.
Thanks, Peter. Is your life is still falling apart because of trading at the open, or you make peace with it?
We Andrew, we might have to frame that email like in your office, saying drastic, drastic email.
Come on, man. You want drastic? I could be drastic, but sorry, I didn't mean to panic everybody. I was
You're not gonna live this one down, Peter.
yeah, oversensitive. Come on, guys.
Um,
All right.
you know, Peter, I love you, and all the jokes. I think for everyone in this community that make a lot of jokes with that is probably you and Brian. So, uh,
Well, it's
and I like
mutual.
that you can actually take a joke. I love that
Of
because
course.
people in Canada don't take the jokes. Like one thing that I miss here is the humor. Like you can't joke with people in Canada. Like
Really?
yeah, I mean,
Really?
everybody's get offended. Like
I
in
think
Europe,
Yeah, you can.
that maybe that's just
I think
Vancouver
you're.
people.
I think you're hanging out with the wrong people.
Yeah, I see, Brian. I agree with you. I think I know the wrong
yeah.
people.
So I had a pretty good trading day. I had one loss on TSLL, but eventually I got a really nice trade on Tesla. And I had a really good also trade on NVIDIA, long to NVIDIA. So it was a very, very good profitable trade. So I'm sitting at $44,000 profit here, and I still have 30,000 shares of TSLL standing on this. And yeah, things going pretty well and decent for me here. And yeah, I made almost the losses of yesterday back. And the market seems it's grinding up, which is what we like. Um,
Yeah, your IWM's up too. The
yeah,
Qs
how's
are. It seems like. Yeah, it seems like the Qs, the technology side of things. Well, PLTR breaking out. Seems like the technology side of things is catching the bid today. We talked about Meta. Meta, like I was looking at that when it was up $2 just
fuck
at the
me
open,
for now?
and now it's up $23. Man,
Yeah, we did
not
at
good.
the
Yeah.
call at the chat room. We did call people meta calls. A lot of people looked at meta calls. I even had the meta call here. I even had the meta open here. I wanted to trade. It was like
Yeah.
$4, and now it's at $11. 600 calls for tomorrow. Gee.
I know. Yeah, I had meta calls when I got into them around $7, and now they're at the ones I got into are now at 14.
Oh no,
That would have
since
been
that
a
you write
nice
us
double.
into the chat room froze. Um,
In the chat
Carlos,
room?
if
Hold
you
on,
can do,
let
yeah,
me
maybe
check.
stop and do another share because those guys can't.
Yep. All right, we'll stop and reshare real quick here.
Brian, did you take the meta calls?
Yeah, I took a a raw FOMO trade or a Romo trade, regret of missing out. So I did take it at one point. I did take a couple calls and then sold them through $8. I got it way too early. Should have held a few, but I didn't. I didn't take a lot to begin with because I was kind of chasing it.
Yeah, chasing is not good.
We're just VL. We're just moving stuff around here, so people get it. It's good to get a different sense of how people trade. That's one of the things that talk about is a lot of our moderators all have different styles, different trading types. So Peter and Carlos come a little bit different than myself and Andrew in terms of their approaches to how they trade. Peter will say he's a chronic undertrader, which is kind of I wish I had that gene.
Chronic. Chronic.
Because I don't know how many trades I've done today. Most of them have been options trades. Probably done 15, 10, or maybe, no, maybe not that much, maybe 6 or 7 trades today.
How's the quality of my sound that is coming to YouTube and to the chat room? Um, is it good? Because now that I'm changed my, um, it's good now. Perfect. Yeah. So this computer is in the office a little different. So
Where's Nina? Bring Nina to the camera.
why
See
stop
Nina.
messing around with my employees? Just go to this. um, Stop hitting on
She's
my.
probably too shy.
Does your wife know that you are hitting on everybody that you see? Question your wife. All right, guys. Did I tell you that, by the way, Dr. Brett Steenbarger is coming to our event? Dr. Brett Steenbarger is amazing psychologist. He's one of the really legends and pioneers of trading psychology. He's also having a new book coming. I sent an email yesterday to him. I sent my new book, and he said he's going to read it and potentially write maybe a foreword for it. And he actually suggested that he comes maybe monthly to our community to do your presentation and Q&A, and I can actually moderate that one as well with credit. So that would be very interesting. Like Dr. Brett Steenbarger, if you haven't read his book, read the 101 Daily Trading Coach. It's really, really amazing book. It's really a masterpiece. I know books are really not people like I personally don't read as much as book as used to, but still is the best way of learning. In some subjects are the books. I really highly recommend people guys to read that book and of course my book and our books. Brian
Of,
also has that.
of course. Wow, AMD is at yesterday's high now. Tesla
Yeah.
or Nvidia looks like it's right at high of day, and it looks like it's going to try to break out here. PLTR, yesterday's high now. SPY and
Guys, the
Qs
winner
both
of
very close to yesterday's high.
the draw yesterday on Instagram. So the people who commented and shared the reel, I announced it in Instagram. So you're gonna get the laptop. So just for membership, just I'll reach out to you on Instagram.
Nice. Nice, mighty. Our Achilles, it's great. Always, hopefully, you've been able to do a review for us because it's helps us. Well, PLTR is breaking out.
Yeah, everything is going up. PLTR is up 2.5%. Tesla.
Yeah, there's some big orders at 89.50, 89, and then there's another big order at 90. I don't know if we're going to get there today. There's a lot of wood to chop to get to 90, but AMD is looking pretty interesting. Wow. Meta has been just so strong. Started out in the red around 580, hit low of 580, and now it's at 608. Pretty nice range for the day.
Any question? Let's get some questions from the chat room because I'm not really going to enter any new trade. I still have the Tesla, but I'm not really getting into anything. Let's get some questions from people, maybe in chat room or YouTube.
Yeah. Where is the resistance for SPY today? It's a good question. I'd say it's pretty close to where we are right now. Maybe 571.
So Dr. Brady Steenbarger speaks on the Sunday of our event. We start Saturday, Sunday, and Monday. So Ed is asking, making your losses back on a stock versus holding for 2-1 or 3-1. So if you get a stop out 1R, and the next trade you make 2-1R, you're still are profitable. Like for example, on a Tesla today. So I'm going to show you my chart. Let me bring my pen as well. So I'm going to draw something on my screen. So the first trade that I did for opening range breakup, at 1R, I partialed, and then I got to stop the full R here. So that was almost a 1R loss for me because I partialed only 10% of this one. And then I went again on this trade. And this was my original R that I still had in my mind. But how much did I get? And then I added more. And then I got almost 2 or 3R out of that. So now, in this second trade that I did, so the R that I lost at the beginning, and now there's extra R that I have as a profitable trade on that. The key here is very important to make sure that the sizes should be almost the same. And usually when I'm actually going once or twice, the third time I might actually go a little bit of a bigger size, because sometimes when a couple of times trade doesn't work, the third time I go a little bit bigger or actually add more into my position. So for NVIDIA, the first trade that I did, so again, that was essentially the first R. and then it popped up 1 hour partial, second hour partial. I was actually pretty out most of this position because I knew I kind of did have a bad entry. And then it came back up when I started. Sorry. No sound. Carlos, we lost it again.
What do we lose?
Can you hear us now?
No, I didn't lose your sound. I still hear you. In the chat room?
Says, yeah, kind of. I think when you were probably changing the screen, it kind of got that. Can you guys now hear us in the chat room?
Are we sure it's not individuals? Because again, I haven't seen any loss of sound. All right, I'll yeah.
All right.
Okay, it's back. All right.
All
I
right.
haven't
So
done anything,
anyway,
so I'm not sure.
here's what I was going to do. The second trade that I did on NVIDIA, my position was bigger, especially that I added more on my on the way down. So my average was kind of around here, and then that turned out to be, again at almost 2-3 or 3-to-1 R. The 3-to-1 R is a really good trade. You rarely get trades that you can actually get like 5 or 6 or 7 hour out of that. They're usually really, really good trades, or you have a really, really good entry on that. Like Meta, for example, today was a trade that if you would have gone long in there, you would have probably get 10 R right now out of it. But you rarely see, a stock that is like starts green and go up 4% like this in a matter of, half an hour.
Yeah, question about my strike price on options. I don't trade the ETF options like you're asking about TSLL. I don't touch. I mean, I wouldn't touch those just because I'm guessing if they are. I don't even know if they're optionable, but if they are optionable, I would say that the volume on them would be very light compared to the actual stock. So when I do trade Tesla using options, I always pick a strike that's very close to the money. So could be in the money, could be out of the money. But it's generally speaking, when you're day trading options, most traders like to pick a strike price that's close to the money. Doesn't have to be exact, but closer to the hour to the money, the better, the more direct kind of move you're going to get with the price of the underlying stock and the option. So if you and I've got a book on options, trading options, it's called How to Trade Options on Amazon. If you're interested, I do have a chapter on day trading options. But you're basically trading. You're still trading the stock, no matter how you cut it. You're still trading the price action of the underlying security. The reason I choose to trade options with Tesla and Nvidia is because they're so heavily option traded that the spreads are usually between the bid and the ask are usually quite good. Like when you get into a stock like I talked about earlier with Meta, not as heavily option traded. So when you look at the spread between the bid and the ask on Meta, it's usually like 25-30 cents, whereas Tesla and Nvidia is like 5 or 10 cents. So if you do have to stop out, you don't get hit with that big slippage. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I mean, if you want to trade the indexes, the QQQs and the SPY are also very liquid. So you can trade those index options as well. Sometimes I trade those. If you really want to check your heart rate, you can always trade SPX options.
Yeah. John answered you, Mohammed. It's about 10 hours per week.
I didn't. I was tied up. I didn't. I didn't trade after with the Fed announcement. Unfortunately, I guess there was a nice move up, and then I think market kind of sold off. But the Fed decision wasn't. I mean, there was no surprise there. I think 99% were the odds on for holding. It looked like probably maybe he was hinting at maybe a rate cut in June, but as he always says, it's always data dependent.
So Deepko is asking, how do you keep calm when you miss a huge opportunity?
I
Um,
know. I saw that. That's a great
uh,
question.
I think by
Well,
experience, I think, let me answer that, Brian. By experience for me, I
yeah,
know that the market has been volatile and are going to give me another opportunity. Even not that, maybe a reversal, maybe a pullback. And even if not that, another day, we're going to get eventually, you know, another one. So by experience, is that you're going to get another one. Uh, Financial market is there and it's going to be there forever, and it's going to be very volatile forever. Brian?
yeah, no, that's a very good that's a very good point. Like I said, you can kind of reassure yourself that there'll other opportunities are going to present themselves. So you kind of have to move on, or you kind of do what I did and took a quick trade on Meta just because I kept my size small just because I just don't like chasing stocks. But on Meta, for example, it gave you some pullback opportunities to get in. But really, that's not a plus trade when you're just chasing a stock higher, and unless you're looking for a pullback and thinking there's going to be a continuation. And what ended up happening was I just I didn't probably get as good a run as I could have on it just because I got in late, and I felt nervous about holding it because you never know when these things are going to top out.
I think for me, being profitable took me about a year. But again, being profitable is like being fit. You always fit until you start having that beer and pasta at 11 o'clock at night for a week. Even after one weekend, I'm not really, running or not doing so. I feel that, oh, fuck, I'm getting this fat. So you never fit forever. You always have to make sure that you are doing things that you're supposed to do. Um, Same as trading, like you are profitable until you get blow up your account. So I showed you that Excel spreadsheet. So this trader, or maybe I should bring it to the chart that I have. So um, this trader that we had. So maybe I should bring it here. The slides. So where was it? This is my book that I'm working on. So all the charts. But I want to show you one specific chart about that trader. There's so many screenshots with all the details of risk management and everything. So let's see if I can find that one here. Like, see, you are this person is a trader until it's not. You know, that's uh, that would be that would be your trade. And what you want to get eventually, you want to get this. This is my screenshot of my account. Like that, this is what I got in 1 year. I got over 100% return, while the SPY was giving us something around 18%. So this is a screenshot of my account in there. But again, sometimes you have some really bad trades that you get some these dips, You just have to make sure that your account doesn't come up that. And this is the screenshot of my Tracking Brokers account, so it's gonna put it in the book as well. All right,
It's funny
so
you ask about. I was just going to say it's funny you ask about the not getting tempted to when you're missing out on a trade. I was looking at AMD about 10 minutes ago when it was breaking out there, and I was so tempted to take it long, and I thought, I guess it just comes from experience. You just think, no, this is not a great entry. I'd probably get stopped out because it's already run up a lot, and I again, my hunch was right. I probably would have gotten in very close to the top there if I'd have chased that. So again, it's sort of experience and just really sticking with your playbook. This was the other thing. This wasn't. I don't trade these kinds of breakouts, so it's not in my playbook. So that was the other thing I thought too. It's not. This isn't a trade that I would normally take. So why jump in on this one? Anyway, that was a final thought on that, but it was a good question. All right. I'm going to grab some breakfast here. It's been a good morning. Hopefully, everybody else enjoyed the price action.
yeah, so Paris is coming now at 8 a.m. On YouTube, and Thor is coming in the chat room. Remember, guys, Vancouver next week. So we have actually about 10 spots left because we want to cap it at 200. So we are about 190 people signing up. So the last 10%, guys, and then after that, we actually increase the price for the last 5. So if you are still on the verge, time to sign up and join. It's going to be a really nice 3-day event. I appreciate you guys coming, supporting, and thanks for the event. And boot camp, we're starting the boot camp. We're finishing wrapping up this boot camp, and the next boot camp is going to be very good because again, you get access to a live Google Hangouts trading with Avi, Thor, and other traders. So you can actually get exposure to more thought process in real time, see people how trade, especially options or people who have different style of trading. So really looking forward to seeing you guys in Vancouver next week.
Yeah.
It's going to be super exciting. Everybody's coming from all the team members, and there's some pretty interesting people coming. Timothy Sykes are coming. Dr. Britta Steenbarger is coming. We have some people from a spot comma. They're coming. They have a workshop, and I think it would be really amazing. Plus, we do the live trading as well on Monday morning. And after that, if you want to, if you're traveling and you want to hang out a little bit more, we go to Whistler after that with about 20 people for skiing. I know some people are coming, and if you haven't been to Vancouver, spending a couple of nights in Whistler too. And Whistler is also shoulder season now. The prices are coming really down, so we can get really good hotels for $200 or $100 or something like that. And congratulations, Brian, on being a grandpa too.
Yeah, thank you. Another grandchild. That's numero deux. I think that'll be it.
Yeah.
So
Awesome.
all right, guys.
Guys.
Thanks. Thank you. Thanks, everybody. It was a lot of work for me, but managed to pull through it. So we'll talk to you, everybody, later.
Brian managed to put through being a grandfather, or what do you mean?
Yeah, it's a lot of work.
What did you do?
all that sitting around and thinking about worrying.
Okay. That's awesome, man.
It's a great experience.
No.
You get to go and enjoy them, and then you go home.
Awesome stuff, man. Love it. All right, thanks, Brian. All right, Paris, I see you on. Just want to do a mic check, and I'm going to disconnect from chat room, guys. Thor's going to be on there and then take you guys through through his trades. All right. Let's go on YouTube. Paris, can you hear me? I see you, but I haven't heard you yet. Here's our good buddy Paris. All right, so let's make sure you're not on mute on my end. Yeah, it's just okay. Let me see if I got you now.
Can you hear me now?
Yep, loud and clear, man. Gotcha.
Awesome. Awesome. So, how is everyone on YouTube? Hey, Khalib. Yeah, Avi is actually taking up the PCT, so he's gonna be a part of PCT going forward, and he'll be trading with the PCT members. Hey, Hey, Matthias. So let me share my screen, guys. So I'm currently long Tesla. I'm long Tesla from 233.50, and I added a couple more times at 235. Sorry, 235.50, and turned out to be a really good day for me. I traded only Tesla, and just like yesterday, and it worked really nice for me. Yeah, I am missing Avi, of course. It's yeah, let me talk about my indicators. Then so I don't personally trade options from a day trading standpoint. So I don't calculate. I basically trade just individual stocks and individual. I'm adding a little more on. I'm adding a little more on Tesla, guys. Let's see if I don't. I wouldn't want it to lose the 235. So 235 has been that level, and I wanted to bounce from 235. Very nice. So Tesla bounced very nicely. Let's see if it has a continuation to hold it around this area, which is 236. Usually, since it has dropped the 235, 236 area, usually you want to see a rejection at 236 and then see if it holds at 236 area. And if it holds the 236 and claims the 236, then actually very good chance it goes for the high of the day, which is 238. So we'll see. If it loses 235, then you're actually done for the day. Means as in like the strength that Tesla wants to have, then it might come back later part of the day. So let's see if it breaks the PDC or a 236 area and holds about 236, or would it? So the rejection was bought back up. So I think it's gonna lift 236 now. Let's see if it lifts 236. Nvidia is very strong today. I like looking back, Nvidia, I should have touched Nvidia than Tesla. Nvidia was very strong even from the get-go. Very strong, very nice consolidation and making higher highs and now making, all-time high. Not all-time high, sorry, the high of the day. Okay, so Tesla popped up very nicely. Let's see if it breaks the 236 now. So 236 is the one. Now let's see. It closed about 236. Now you want to see a big pop to above higher. Pop one more time and I'll cover some. Beauty. Beauty. Sold some at 236. So that was a nice $1 pop from the ad. So Samuel, it's PCT, it's a peak capital trading. It is it's a boot camp. I think Andrew and Brian were mentioning about it. It's a boot camp if you are new to trading and you need like continued mentorship. It's a 3-month or a 2.5-month boot camp, and check that out on the peakcapitaltrading.com. So I think let me and that's a good question, Matthew. I've started relying more on the levels than on the. So indicators are good to have, and I'll talk about what indicators do I use. Indicators are good to have, but they're not my decision makers. The levels or the area of strength that or the real-time identification of the buyers and sellers, that becomes my decision maker. Like for example, today, I was wanting to long at 232. So 232 was my interesting area to go long at this thing. So yesterday was, 230 was a very, we talked about in the yesterday's session how 230 was such an important level. 230, even yesterday it was bought back and I traded 230 yesterday to even 240. Not 240. I think I bought at 230 and then scaled out to 237 right here. And I was anticipating it was gonna go to 240, but I think my final exit was around 237.50 or something. So that's where I got complete all out. Then it started gapping up, which I was thinking that it would gap up, considering this strong sell-off is usually leads to a very good gap up. And then I think the numbers came in, which actually pushed the price further down. Ideally, what I want to see is hold and then step up higher and eventually go to 250. And that would be a good bounce on a Tesla. But another from the yesterday's level, what I came to got an information was 230 is a very important technical level from a 30-minute chart, which also was proven yesterday. And then 232 was the area that it was holding in the pre-market. 232 is the area that I would be interested in at this point. Now let's zoom in, and then 232 and 233 were very tight areas, right? At this point, very tight areas. So I want to see if I can play around 232 and 233 for a long, because the buyers are stepping up. Yesterday buyers were strong. I want to see some continuation on the buyers. If it drops to 30, then I'm like, okay, my thesis is wrong. I am not going to trade on the long side anymore. So I want to see buyers stepping up. So 232 when the market opened, let's zoom in a little bit. So when the market opened, this is exactly where 232, where a buyers stepped up. So this is where, you have to be very quick on your trading. So which is what very quickly the buyer stepped up. And that's when I want to go long, because the buyers are going to squeeze very quickly to the upside. Right? So within matter of few seconds, I got an entry at approximately 230.88, and then very quickly it squeezed to 235. And this is where it gives you, this is a very clear opening range break up too. So this is an opening range break up. A lot of people take long here. People who know me, I like to read the tape and I get better entries. So when I get long here, I'm willing to move for the stock to move very quickly in my favor. And this is a very good pop. So from 230 to 88 to 235, it's a $2.5 drop. Pop. And now what I'm looking is it lifts the 235. So if you look at candle by candle, right? What you want to see is once the breakout happens at 233.50, now what you want to see is it breaks the 235 like a boss and then continues higher. But 235 you don't know when you're watching it, you don't know if it's going to break or not. You want to see based on the tape if it's breaking or not, right? And now what I do is, now let's roll by candle. So why is it not going candle by candle? So then I want to see it pop right here. At this point, it held the VWAP at this area, and then it actually popped above 235.50 and 236. That's where I sold some. And then I was looking for continuation. If it breaking out, I want to see it hold above 235, close to 236, and it step up higher. But at the open, and when it pulled back, it tried to pull back, the buyers stepped up again. I added more. I said, now it's gonna go and break the PDC and actually step up higher. But it didn't. And once it does that, because when the sellers take over, this is where all the buyers who were trying to buy right here, they get trapped. Now you would see a momentum on the downside, right? So that's why my exit is there. I stopped out at break even. So I made money on my first trade. This is where, the risk reward is in your favor. So you went long, popped up $2.50, and then another $3, and then you added more, and then you very quickly you go stopped out at break even, because now the momentum is against you, right? Now what you want to see is your real level was 232, right? And yes, you're trying to manage your risk, but if you start seeing a buyer again at 232, then I would want to get back in. So what next happened was, in the next one, same area that I went long at this point, went long here, I saw a buyer stepping up at 233, not 232. So 232 was there. So this is a real-time buying and selling imbalances. These are real-time. I'm trying to identify that these are the real-time imbalance that I want to see. Now I went long here again, and this is again a very quick pop. Like my stop loss is literally 50 cents. I'm giving maybe 30, 40, 50 cents here, something around this area, which is close to 40 cents. But when you try to get in and get out, it tends to be, you lose 5, 10 cents here and there. So approximately I'm risking 50 cents, and I'm trying to capture $2.50 out of it. And then if it holds up here again, it can actually give me a very good risk reward if it goes to 236, 237. So those timing of your entries is really important. And usually a good price action, what you want to see is when it breaks out like that with volume, you want to see it hold higher and then go higher at this point, because that means that there are aggressiveness. Same thing with this. You want to see a hold higher and then go higher. That's a good price action. And once you see like a pop and then completely reversed, that is not a good price. Like same pop, complete reversed. Same pop, complete reversed. And this is not a good price action from a good bullish standpoint. So I added few more. Okay, now this is the final chance that it's gonna pop up. It did pop up, but did not have a break of 235. So 235 continued to be that seller. And then this is where I got stopped out break even again. So, and the second I got stopped out, and now it popped up again. I was like, now this is the first time, second time, third time, fourth time is the charm. I'm gonna capture the momentum to the upside. And this is where I chased it. Usually, if you see my entries are here at the bottom, this is where I chased it on the momentum on the upside. And it has to work immediately. If it doesn't work immediately, I have to get out. So the second I went long, because my risk reward is not in my favor now. Because if the momentum is not there at the moment I get in, that means my risk is literally from 234.80 to 233, which is $2 risk, which I'm not willing to risk that much. Because my strategy is that if I'm able to get in at the bottom, and my risk reward has to be in my favor. So even after getting stopped out at break even, I still made money in the first trade and the second trade. This is the third trade. This was a momentum play. I was looking for a momentum, like this volume came in at this here and a continuation of the momentum to the breakout, but it never came in. Immediately I was trapped by the sellers again. So this was where I got stopped out. You have to get in, get out very quickly, because if you hold it, you will have to hold it to this entire pullback. Now that I see is now what I do is it keeps making, now what I'm trying to understand through the chart is that I found a buyer at this area at sorry, there is some issue with my zoom in. So what I saw was I found a buyer at 233 and it kept holding, and now it's making higher highs. It's starting to trend on the higher highs. And now that I'm like, okay, so so what is it forming is first, this is what you call an ascending wedge pattern. So this is what you call an ascending wedge pattern, and then eventually it would contract, 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 and then it would squeeze to the upside. So I was like, okay, this is a pattern that has been forming. Let me try to use that to my advantage. And I see buyers stepping up. And if it loses 233 again, I'm going to be stopped out. So that's where this was my trade and risking 233.50 and trying to scale out to the upside. So was my thesis. This was my fourth trade. And as you can see, this is where it actually broke out. So this is where now my risk reward is exponential in my favor. So I went long, risking 50 cents, and now I'm looking for the break of 235, and it very quickly went to 236 because this is where you want to see a breakout, and now you want to see a hold above 236 or 235.50, and that's what you want to use to your advantage to trade that. And all it's now the next thing is all you're doing is you're trying to scale out on your positions. So as you see right here, 236 and 237, and then you keep scaling out until the character of a stock changes. You 238, and yeah, so that was all trade. I'm still in it. I'm still trying to capture the real meat of the move. I still think that 238 and 240 is coming. Uh, and yeah, but if it loses 235 and if it comes down around below 234.50, I'll get out. I still have to manage my risk. My average is 234.56, but I'll give a little bit of more room right here. So yeah, hope that hope you're able to understand how you can actively manage your trades and more efficiently, because it's end of the day everything would turn out to be a risk reward. If you are like, even if you are 40% or a 30% hit rate, and if you have a 1:3 or 1:4 risk reward, you'll still make a shitload of money. So yeah, today I think, guys, there is a trading terminal webinar by Avi. So do check that out. I think he's gonna talk about the fractal patterns. So do join him at 12:30. And it's a free webinar, guys. Try to get as much value as possible. So one of the questions that came in was the indicator. So I use 9 EMA. So all the 4 gray lines that you see are just the EMAs and the SMA. So 9 EMA and 20 EMA, and then this is 50 SMA, and this is 200 SMA. So these 4 lines these are my 4. None of them is a decision maker for me. It's just as a reference on where the trending where the stock is trending at. It's just a reference point. None of them. I don't have a playbook designed where that's a decision maker. So I don't use, and eventually I'll get rid of all these indicators. It's not adding a lot of value to my chart either. And then I have VWAP. I have 2 VWAPs. One is the yellow line that you see. The yellow VWAP line is a VWAP that includes the pre-market. And this orange line that you see, it excludes the pre-market. It only includes a daily price action. And yeah, so that's it. That's pretty much I have on the chart. Yeah, I don't have, and the reason I have two VWAPs is because most of the time the pre-market and the post-market will align with each other. The only time when you have a huge gap up and gap down, that's when it would have a different VWAP values. So my scaling out strategy is 5%, but I take higher, bigger partials at important levels. So for me, like this area is basically 236, and at this area, 236, 237, and 238 were bigger partials, but rest all the other things that you see high before that, they're like, so now Tesla is actually coming below 235. It dropped to 35. Yeah, it's coming to my break-even point now. But this is yeah, this is 234.50. Very quickly dropped below 235. So let's see if it is trying to hold a little bit here. I'm letting it go against me a little bit, but I want to see a bounce. I'm adding a little more here. My stop loss would be 234. So that was a good bounce. Let's see if it has a continuation to the upside or let's see if it goes to 235. Yeah, now my average is 234.29. Yeah, it's okay. I'm getting out, guys. All out. Yeah, it did bounce, but did not have that continuation to the upside. All out. Yeah. 230. Yeah, now like below 235, like there was one chance that I was thinking that this is usually, like, understand the psychology of the market, right? So why would a stock just pop up like that and then complete reverse and then pop up again, then complete reverse and pop up again? So what, from a psychological standpoint, what I get is there is a buyer who has a lot of shares to buy. And what he wants to do is, and he's not an aggressive buyer. He is trying to be aggressive at a level, and then he wants to let the stock retrace back to its original level and then buy again. He wants to let the stock retrace back again and then buy again, because he's a very patient buyer. And only one occasion a patient buyer, a buyer is patient when he has a lot of buyers, a lot of buying position that he needs to buy, or he has a lot of shares that he needs to buy. So when you see something like that, there is a patient buyer, and then usually eventually he steps up, and then it tries to hold. A lot of times when he's trying to buy at specific level right here, uh, at these areas, that area should not drop. But if this happens, this area drops, that means this buyer who wants to buy is trying to trap all the other buyers who were there, get them stop out, and then rebid again and then claim higher, which is usually called as a trap. So I was thinking, my head, I was thinking, okay, let the sellers, let the sellers puke out, let the sellers go out from sell, 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 sell. And if I start seeing a buying indicator, I would start buying, and very quickly it would claim the 235 and go higher. But in this case, it did bounce, but not a strong indication. Now the buyer is like, the buyer has given up. Now the sellers have taken over. And one of the question that comes in, if buyer is interested to buy at a better price, why doesn't the buyer let the go further down and then buy again later? Very good question. And the reason that happens is because buyer is scared too. Buyer wants to doesn't want to risk that if I'm not able to absorb all the selling, what if that happens? And so that's why he won't let the price from a start to trend lower. He would hold the price at that specific area and then step up higher, because he's scared too, because any seller could actually bring the price down if it's big enough. And in this case, this feels like, the buyers gave up and now the sellers are getting aggressive. Now you want to see what happens at 232 again. Will it hold 232 and then the next 230 level? If it doesn't, then it's the stock is done for today. Yeah, see this drop? This is like an aggressive sell, and the buyers gave up. This is where the buyers are giving up, and the buyers just nice, Ladud, very nice. Now it's breaking the low of the day, close to breaking the low of the day. Nice, drop the low of the day. Wow. Any news came in on Tesla? Like this is a real drop. Like all the folks are puking now. All the buyers are puking. So 232. Okay, I'm long now. I'm long a little bit now. Oh man, that was a bad drop. I think there's definitely news. I'm getting out. There's definitely news on it. There's definitely some news on it. I don't know what news is. No pullback. Any news on this? SPY is selling too, but Tesla is selling aggressively. Yeah, now it's like no bounce at all. That's weak, man. The tape is very weak. Wow. What a drop on that, man. There's definitely a news on this, for sure. This cannot just drop without the news. $230, man. Wow. People who shorted this, that they made a shitload of money right there. I don't know what news was this. 230 now. Yeah, I'm glad I'm out. No bounce. This is getting too extended, guys. I don't know what this is all about. The bounce is gonna be very good too. I'm looking for if I can get a good bounce out of it. So 230 did bounce. Yeah, 230 was a good bounce. Nvidia is selling off too. What happened? I don't even have a Benzinga on, so anybody knows what happened? So 230, now the bounce to 232 is possible, but now I missed it to capture that bounce. Yeah, that was a good bounce from 230. Yeah, recalls don't usually impact that much, to be honest. But what a drop, guys. This is now I think it bounces a little bit, but Yeah, the risk reward is not. I would have longed at 230 if given a chance, but it would retest the 230 again, drops a little bit, and then tries to consolidate around at the lower areas. But the first bounce is usually a good bounce. The second bounce is usually takes time to bounce. Yeah, nothing. I don't feel. Going to 232 now. This is where I want to see it relect. 232.50. Bounce to 232.50 would be a good bounce. It can even go to, yeah. This bounce, like this drop from here, 235 to 230, 232.50 is a good bounce area. That's a 50% retracement. Let's see if there was any news on Tesla. So Tesla won't be this cheap again. Nothing really that has 1132, 1138. When did it drop? Yeah, nothing. It was Cybertruck about what? The recalls? Hmm. No, Tenzin. I don't take only longs. I trade both sides, short and long. So very good question, Four Corners. So for time and sales, first of all, the price and the volume. These two things I'm looking at. And second thing is on what way the price is being transacted. Like the way that you see right now, you see a lot of white prints. And you will see a red prints, you'll see green prints, you'll see blue prints, you'll see orange prints. So there are different prints, different. It's end of the day, every print is where the buyer is meeting a seller. Okay. And but in which way, on who is a dominant, the transaction happened, but who was a dominant person there, or who was a dominant a buyer or a seller there? It's basically decided with the color that it comes pop up. Because the way when you see bids, like there are bids when a buyer and a seller has to step down and matches the bid, it will print in red. It also doesn't mean that all the red prints that you see are a buy, or they are a sell. Because a red doesn't mean a sell and a green doesn't mean a buy. It's the context that tells you if it's a buy or a sell. Same with white prints, same with green prints. So I'm looking at the time and sales very, very effectively to time my entries and exits. So yeah, I'm focusing on time and sales first. And I'm also on the side, I always want to see what is happening on the level 2, because time and sales doesn't lie. Time and sales are the executed transactions that are happening in front of you. Level 2 or the order book can actually spoof around and can have some orders and uh, put in the order book, and then it can take that back. You can always put an order and cancel that order. You can always do that. So it's not giving you a real actual information. It's the anticipation on where the move is gonna can happen. That's what level 2 and order book gives you, that there's a probability if I see a very great imbalance on one side of the order book, I can, with a higher certainty, I can tell where the market is actually heading to. And if the time and sales information is matching with the level 2 information, then it's an additional confirmation that you're looking at. Yeah, hard luck, buddy. Adrian, yeah, come back the next day and happens. Today was one of not the day where you want to go heavy, or there was no major news. There was nothing as such. All you're doing is uh, playing the regular stocks. So these are the times where, especially like the end of March and the first week and the second week of April, where you don't have major news because the earnings season is almost ended, and the new earnings season for the quarter 1 is going to start by like mid of April, May. So these are the times where you want to be slow and or rather be careful, because you won't have much stocks to trade. Very like regular stocks that we have today, Teslas, Nvidias, and all of those. The Chinese sector was down today, but did not have any major move. I had PDD in my watch list too, but nothing major. PDD, Baba. Yeah, Tesla is now coming back to 230, 250. That 230 was a very good bounce. 230 area was a very good bounce. And it got very extended too. I think 232 was my try. My second try should have been 230. Yeah, and I have a course that you can check that out on Trading Terminal, Four Corners, and which details you every concept on the tape reading. It's only specific to tape reading. It's only about how you can implement and you know with real-time recordings, real-time examples on how you can identify a real buyer or a seller. So check that out on Trading Terminal. Yeah, I think Nvidia is breaking out, man. Nvidia, that sell-off never couldn't stop Nvidia from going up to 120. So 120 was definitely looking like that Nvidia is going to go to 120. But holding to three, these pullbacks, Tesla, I had a conviction that it would go to 240 today, but it never did. And now it's trying to do a complete reversion. And here, getting into a trade, I think it's bullish, but getting into a trade like this, it's not giving me a good risk reward. Where do I keep my stop? And that's why I'm like, where do I keep my stop? And it bounced from here, pull back to, and if it tries to trap me, I'll have to give a wider stop. So yeah, not gonna trade this thing. Even though I think that like it would reclaim, it would be back now. Because I don't know what that SPY was dropping and what was the news, but Tesla seems like it wants to head back now. Primo, I'm struggling to determine my bias before the open. Do you base it on the previous resistance becoming support and vice versa, and the price opening above and below the pre-market? So good question, Primo. And I think one of the criteria that I wanna look is the daily chart, the 30-minute chart, and then dive deeper into the pre-market and the and how the thing. And I first of all, I want to see if there is a specific catalyst to it, and what is the price action looking like. If it's a breakout, which breakout area it is. It is breaking out of the range on the upside or on the downside. If it's breaking out on the upside, I would want to see is the catalyst strong enough for it to lead to a continuation. So, and once the catalyst is there, then I'd be looking for, okay, well, now then try to start plotting the important support and resistance areas. What are the important support areas that I want to lock? So my bias would become long bias because a stock is gapped up for a reason, had a positive catalyst, anything. If it's gapped up too much, like a stock that is like a good mid float or a large float stocks, it's gapped up like more than 10%, I don't like longing it because it's already extended. But if it's gapped up 2, 3% or 4%, I would think that okay, 4% can actually go to 9% or 10%. That's what I would, and that's why the context matters. And sometimes even the technical patterns is like on a daily, it is exactly at the resistance. It's going to take some time to break that resistance. So I would not be interested as much. But if I see a little bit of openness on the daily and the 30-minute chart, then I would be, man, this Tesla is bouncing now. That 232 again came back and now it's bouncing. So, but yeah, that's how I would look at. I do opening, but I do have a bias before the market opens on a stock. And I like to trade on that bias, unless proven guilty. Like in this case, like after 235, this was like I wouldn't long it. Below 235 was a short bounce and I wouldn't give a lot of room. But this was like very quick drop in a very quick extension. This was a momentum play of a very strong bounce. Like this, like 232 and 230 were my important levels that I wanted to take a bounce from. And I did not take it from 230. It did not give me a chance. I like to see some hold on this, but it never gave me a chance. But yeah, so if the stock drops very quickly in a very short period of time, then I would think of taking for a bounce. And ideally, if I would have taken 230, my exit would have been 230, 250. I wouldn't anticipate for it to complete reverse to 235 again. It can, the way like the SPY is trading and all that, but initial my thesis would be to just capture bounce like a bounce just because how extended it is. And the trend is basically on the downside now. So what you want to see is this is where the trend is actually trending down, or maybe like this right here. So it comes to maybe like this here, then sells off, or maybe bounce from here and then try to hold here, and then eventually go higher and claim that 235 again, and then step up and then go higher. And I think this can happen, to be honest. This can happen on Tesla. Yeah, that's a good thing to understand. Like based on your playbook, if things match, you wanna trade that. So now, based on my playbook, my good entry would have been 230, which was my level, and 232. I'm not, and then when it claimed this would have been a good entry again. When it claimed right this is a pullback at this area, and now scale out to the upside. So Tenzin, again, another very good question. So I emphasize on the levels, but not candles. Yes, I do not. If you think, if you want to see like a hammer or a candle, or what do you call the way like a doji or something that should come up, I don't use them. I'm more interested on the big picture price action. When a big picture price action means like what are these candles trying to do like in this minute? So I don't take decisions based on how the candle formation is there, but I am trying to address the areas where the buyers are stepping up or the sellers are stepping down. Like the areas today for me, the interest was like in this case, 235 was a very 235 to 35.50 was a very important area, right? This area. Like I would love to scale into my position around this area, and then 233 became a very important area. And I would love to scale around this area. Like all my entries you see are around that area. And same thing with the 232 was the area where that I was, yesterday was a very strong buy in 230. So I would want to see what happens to those price around this. And then eventually candles will start formation of some kind of a pattern or a chart. And that's the beauty of reading a price action, like stepping out of the candle formation and reading the price action. And one candle will not give you an understanding of a price action. You have to combine what that candle behavior with the area that it is trying to trade at, and then see if it is actually this thing. Yeah, Nicholas, I think there's a price for it. I don't think it's 800. It's like 900 or 999 something. I wouldn't say candles are not important. What I would want to say is uh, it should not be one candle should not be a decision maker. If you're trying to get more information, you want to use multiple candles and multiple understand the price action where the buyers and sellers are interacting, and then identify and then use the candle to get entry or exit areas. So Nvidia went to 120 and now it's selling off. So Matthews, what is a small position and big position risk? So a position would like position sizing would depend on the position sizing would depend on the number of shares, and every, like, depending on the stock you're trading, my share size would different. But for me, it is the risk and not the size of the stock. So I already know how much am I risking at any given point. So for me, average day trading looks like between 3 to 5K. And my if I am loading the board, so I trade with different tier sizes, tier 1, tier 2, tier 3, and tier 4 or 5 are usually I load the board, where I'm risking my max loss on the trade, which is usually like 5K on a trade, to I'm risking my entire max loss day on any given trade because of the conviction that I have. But tier 1, I'll start with $500 to $1,000 per trade. Yeah, I've had multi 5-figure days. Okay, guys, have a great rest of the day. It was great hanging out with you, and I will see you guys tomorrow. Take care, guys.